Chapter 262. When Miki Kujo woke up, Toru Watanabe was no longer in the house. Her beautiful and noble gem-like eyes glanced to her side before she closed her eyes again. The antique interior and historical furniture seemed to have lost their charm and turned into black and white, weathered by the wind. "Miki, my Miki, are you awake?" A soft voice called out to her, and footsteps approached her. The world was suddenly filled with color. The furniture shone brightly, and the bed was just right for warmth. The sound of morning birds singing came from the courtyard, and the May sun shone in softly. She didn't say anything. She pretended to be asleep. She was waiting for the boy who called her name to wake her up. Toru Watanabe ran around the house twice, picked a rose in the garden, and returned to the bedroom. Miki Kujo lay gracefully on the soft bed. Her gorgeous black hair, delicate face, and fair arms were as radiant as the moon last night. She was pretending to be asleep. Miki Kujo's sleeping posture was very childish. Toru Watanabe walked over and put the rose under her beautiful nose. He also leaned over to smell it. The only thing between their faces was the morning rose. The petals brushed past her nose. It was a little itchy. Miki Kujo opened her eyes. Their gazes met. Toru Watanabe said, "Miki, I love you." Miki Kujo glanced at him, then looked down at the rose. She used her eyes to ask him what was going on. "I picked it in the garden. I promised to give you a rose every day. Not a day less. This is a May rose." Miki Kujo looked at the bright red petals of the rose. "A May rose that blooms in May? Good name. It's called the Queen of Flowers. It's a perfect match for you. It's rich in vitamins and natural pigments. It can improve endocrine loss in skin, freshen the body, and maintain a good figure. In addition, it can prevent wrinkles, nourish the skin, and make people look younger and more beautiful." "Roses have so many uses? Aren't they meant to be admired? Where did you pick it?" Miki Kujo asked. "In the courtyard." "Idiot, that's what my mother planted for bathing." Toru Watanabe looked at the flowers, then at Miki Kujo, who was even more beautiful than the flowers. "In other words, we are smelling your mother's bathwater?" After a short pause, Toru Watanabe could not help but laugh. Miki Kujo looked at him coldly at first, and then she laughed. Toru Watanabe threw the flowers to the end of the bed, and the two hugged with the quilt between them. "Come in, sleep a little more." Miki Kujo patted Toru Watanabe's back. "Okay." Toru Watanabe released her and began to take off his clothes. "Don't take them off." "Yes, your majesty." Toru Watanabe lifted the blanket, took off half of his clothes, and crawled under the blanket. During breakfast, Kujo's mother looked at Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo walking in side by side. She could not help but admire them. A handsome man and a delicate daughter. The more she looked, the more satisfied she was with Toru Watanabe. He was smart, handsome, and interesting. Judging from her daughter's appearance, he was also excellent in bed. "Miki is becoming more and more feminine. Hurry up and teach your mother. How do you do it?" she teased. Miki Kujo glanced at Toru Watanabe and signaled for him to answer. "Every morning, I smell your bathwater." Toru Watanabe said. "Bathwater?" Kujo's mother was stunned. She looked in confusion at Miki Kujo, who was coldly putting pressure on Toru Watanabe. Miki Kujo walked to the long table and sat down. She picked up her knife and fork and said, "Early in the morning he plucked a May rose and put it on my face. He even proudly showed it off." "May rose? The one in the yard?" Kujo's mother asked curiously. "Yes. That's not me." Kujo's mother realized and giggled. "That child, why can't he pluck any flower?" Her voice was full of vitality. It was unclear whether it was the May rose's effect or the beautifying cream. "Please stop talking. If you keep talking, I'll throw a tantrum and skip breakfast." Toru Watanabe smiled as he sat down across from Miki Kujo. The two of them looked at each other affectionately with smiling eyes. The table was filled with colorful flowers. The three of them happily ate breakfast. After enjoying the delicious breakfast, the two of them said goodbye and left the Kujo's mansion. Miki Kujo went to work, and Toru Watanabe went to school to prepare for the audition. Today was Saturday. He didn't have to go to school early, and he didn't have to practice his oboe like last year. Toru Watanabe leisurely arrived 10 minutes before the audition. At this time, among the 100 or so members of the audition club, the earliest to arrive had already practiced for 3 hours. The corridor on the 3rd floor of the club building was crowded with people. Some were practicing, and some were preparing for the audition. They were already nervous, but when they saw Toru Watanabe, they became nervous. This meant that the audition was about to begin. Kun Watanabe, good morning. Good morning. People kept greeting him. The personal attack last year had already faded away with one competition after another. Toru Watanabe showed his unparalleled playing skills time and time again. Many people even guessed Toru Watanabe's original intention. After all, he wasn't that kind of person before, and he didn't do that kind of thing later. Senpai Watanabe senpai. Masanori Horikita took the whistle from her mouth and ran over. How are your preparations? Toru Watanabe looked at the whistle in her hand, and remembered the days when he made his own whistle by the window after school last year. Not at all, Masanori Horikita said with a bitter face. Look at the places where I reminded you, and look at the things that you should pay attention to in the ensemble. I know. I will work hard, and I will not let senpai down. As long as you are worthy of yourself. Toru Watanabe stopped chatting, and walked into the music classroom. The classroom, which was usually full of stools and music stands, was empty. In the middle of the room, there were 3 stools, 2 desks, and a music stand. The 2 desks were for Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono, and the music stand was for the members participating in the audition. Rin Kiyono was already sitting at one of the desks, writing something on the music with a pencil. In the empty music classroom, there was only the rustling of her writing on the paper. Good morning, Kiyono-san. Toru Watanabe walked over and sat beside her. A light and sweet fragrance wafted over. Good morning. What are you writing? Every instrument is an important node. You are just helping, but you are so serious. Seino-rin didn't answer him. Sometimes he was deep in thought, and sometimes he was scribbling on the score. Between the notes he wrote down the names of the instruments, such as clarinet, bass clarinet, flute, oboe. That should be the section about the upcoming assessment of each instrument. If he knew the assessment content a month in advance, he didn't know if he could use it to make a deal with the girls in the wind department and let them run errands to buy drinks. Toru Watanabe thought about meaningless things, and soon it was time for the audition. In the morning it was brass, and in the afternoon it was woodwinds and percussion. The first part of the audition was the bass horn. There were no longer any third-year members on the bass horn, so the first person to participate was the second-year Aoi Ichiki. She walked in nervously, sat uneasily across from the 2 of them, and put the music score with wrinkled edges on the music stand. Please state your year, name, and the instrument you are responsible for, Rin Kiyono said. Even though they were classmates, she still followed the procedure meticulously. Rin Kiyono would never show mercy just because of their good relationship, so she let Aoi Ichiki introduce herself respectfully as a junior or subordinate. Tuning? Rin Kiyono's voice was flat. It's already tuned. Choose the 30-second section, and play it until I tell you to stop. Begin. Yes. Aoi Ichiki took 2 deep breaths, picked up the bass horn on her pleated skirt, took a 3rd deep breath, and put her lips on the horn. The deep bass horn vibrated the air in the music room in early May. Toru Watanabe listened quietly. Aoi Ichiki's voice was very similar to Masahi's voice. That's it, Rin Kiyono suddenly said. Aoi Ichiki's mind went blank, and she could only follow the instructions and put down her instrument. The bass horn's specialty is its soft tone, but it has a deep echo. Classmate Ichiki, go back and think about it. Yes. Aoi Ichiki's face turned pale after she answered subconsciously. Did he fail to be chosen? Her face was colored by my suspicions. Seeing that she was his classmate, Toru Watanabe said, Congratulations, classmate Ichiki. Aoi Ichiki stared at Toru Watanabe, but then she remembered that Rin Kiyono was the one who had the final say, so she looked at Rin Kiyono nervously. The results will be announced at noon. Rin Kiyono's tone was cold. Please call the next person in. Yes. Aoi Ichiki put away her music score and walked towards the classroom door. Is it okay to tell her in advance? How did you know she passed? Do you think I don't know you? You only say a few words to things you care about. For example, I've been scolded by you the most. Don't be so full of yourself. I scolded you because you deserved it. Hearing the conversation between the two behind her, Aoi Ichiki finally felt the thickness of the wooden floor under her feet. She passed. She was holding her instrument in music score, but she opened the classroom door with nimble movements. After the bass section was over, there was a 15-minute break. Except for Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono, only Aoi Ichiki, who confirmed that she passed, could rest. Everyone else, including the bass section member who had already finished her interview, was extremely nervous. Toru Watanabe propped up his chin and stared out the window. He could vaguely hear the cheers of the baseball and track and field clubs. Everyone was cheering for the competition. He turned his head and said to Rin Kiyono, who was writing down the list of qualified candidates, I heard that when you were a child, you won at rock, paper, scissors for an entire afternoon, and made Mickey push the swing for an entire afternoon? She told you. Her mother. Rin Kiyono nodded. Are you good at rock, paper, scissors? Toru Watanabe continued. I've only played rock, paper, scissors with Miki Kujo, but I don't know if I'm good at it. Toru Watanabe's hand, which wasn't supporting his head, clenched into a fist and stretched it between the two of them. The loser will treat us to lunch today, he said. Did you bring any change? Rin Kiyono put down her pen. You still haven't paid me back the money I paid you on Valentine's Day. You're quite confident. Toru Watanabe sat up straight and rolled up his sleeves. Unfortunately, you're the one who's treating us. You should be the one thinking about whether or not you brought any change. Sunlight shone through the gaps formed by the white curtains. Toru Watanabe was backlit, and the sunlight gently shone on Rin Kiyono's face. After the first round, 2 out of 3 is fine, Toru Watanabe said proudly. No need. After a slight pause, Rin Kiyono said, let's bet on dinner. I admire your courage in admitting defeat. Oh. Rin Kiyono sneered. The second sentence was still Toru Watanabe's victory. Sigh. The winner let out a sad sigh. Again. Tomorrow's lunch. You didn't send roses today, right? If you win, I'll forgive you. You really hold a grudge. I'll have to be careful of you in the future. With your character, you've already written on the first page of your diary. Always be careful of that woman Kiyono. You guessed wrong, I wrote no matter when, where, be careful of Ratatouille. With that, the winner of the 4th round was decided. Toru Watanabe's slender hand was a fist, while Rin Kiyono's white and slender hand was a pair of scissors. Again, Rin Kiyono's face was expressionless. If you win, I'll forgive you for writing bad things about me in your diary. If I win, you'll give me your diary. The stakes seem disproportionate, but forget it, rock, paper, scissors. In the 5th round, the winner continued his victory. Rin Kiyono carefully sized up Toru Watanabe, unscrupulously staring at his face. He didn't need to do anything. Any woman who stared at his handsome face would fall in love with it. Did you cheat? She said. No. Toru Watanabe answered with a smile, also staring at her face. It's all luck. Yes. Lies. I just reacted quickly. I could clearly see what you were thinking when you punched. Rin Kiyono took the music score, turned her back, and wrote something on it. Then, she turned around and said to Toru Watanabe, I've already written down what I'm going to bet. What are you going to bet? Still like this. This time, the stakes are all the previous ones. If I win, I'll win all the previous ones. Then what if you lose? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. The stakes are so high this time, Kiyono classmate. What are you going to bet? If I lose? Rin Kiyono pondered for a moment, then raised her jade-like little finger. Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. I allow you to touch the little finger of the goddess Kiyono. Toru Watanabe pressed her hand down. Don't give me that. His palm briefly touched the smooth back of Rin Kiyono's hand. Late at night after a dance last year, he briefly hugged her slender waist through her clothes. At the Kyoto station, he put his hands on her curvy shoulders through her costume. Just now he touched her body for the first time. Warm and tender, smooth and delicate, gentle and steady, with the lingering touch and slight warmth. Toru Watanabe's heartstrings were touched, numbed, and then filled with warmth. I agree to your bet, he said. You obviously have a girlfriend, but you're playing this kind of game with me. How vulgar. Rin Kiyono pressed the back of her hand that was touched. Yeah, vulgar. And vulgar. Vulgar too vulgar. Toru Watanabe scolded himself with her. The touch of Rin Kiyono's hand still lingered in his heart, and it didn't leave for a long time. At that moment, he was willing to give up everything to keep this touch. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe's clear eyes, which were now looking at her with a burning gaze. She pressed the hand that was touched on her knee. Tell me, what do you want? Toru Watanabe stretched out his hand and slowly clenched it into a fist. Stone. Rin Kiyono confirmed. Finally, Toru Watanabe flicked his index and ring fingers, and made a peace sign in front of his right eye. Scissors, he said. Rin Kiyono didn't say anything, and tightly held the hand that was just touched. The two of them sat very close to each other, as if they were desk mates. Toru Watanabe, with his excellent hearing, could hear the sound of her heart thumping. Forget it, I'll stick with stone. When Toru Watanabe said this, he had already broken free from the girl's spell of infatuation. The increasingly dangerous magic power disappeared into the clear May sky along with the cheers of the sports club outside the window. I won. Rin Kiyono showed him the music score and wrote paper in the blank space in the corner. I'll treat you to lunch and dinner. When should I give you the diary? I'll go with you when it's over so you don't secretly change it. Okay, I'll listen to you. After the break, Rin Kiyono sat up straight, and Toru Watanabe rolled up his sleeves. Watanabe-san. Yes. Not only are you vulgar, but you're also very timid. Please call this single-mindedness. Single-mindedness with two lovers? How did you know? Toru Watanabe remembered that he didn't tell her about Aona Koizumi. What about you that I don't know? Why are you still reading my diary? Chapter 263. Rin Kiyono handed the qualified list to Keiru Hayami, and the morning selection was over. What do you want to eat? Where do you want to eat? Toru Watanabe asked. There were 2 hours of lunch break, and if they didn't mind, they could sneak back to take a nap. Rin Kiyono pondered, thinking about what to eat. Unlike the leisurely atmosphere by the window, the atmosphere in the music classroom was heavy. 50 or 60 people in the brass band were nervously looking at Keiru Hayami in front of the classroom. The remaining brass band and percussion band, although they only participated in the selection in the afternoon. No one knew if they could get into the A group, so it was difficult to calmly look at the brass band's emotions. Let's start with the trumpet group. Keiru Hayami's gentle voice squeezed into the almost stagnant atmosphere of the brass band group. The sound of breathing in the classroom seemed to weaken, and everyone's face was tense, staring at Keiru Hayami. If it was in other schools, it didn't matter if they didn't get into the B group, they could still participate in the competition, and even participate in the smaller blowing competition. But Kanagawa High School's focus was on promotion, and the blowing band won't participate in any other competitions except the 55-person blowing competition. So those who didn't get into the A group could only participate in the opening ceremony, sports meeting, cultural festival, and so on. Third year Kina Asada. Yes. Third year Shaki Tamura. Yes. First year Noriko Shigahara. Keiru Hayami's voice trembled. Yes. Noriko Shigahara didn't seem to recover. There was a burst of crying in the classroom, and all the second years in the trumpet group were eliminated. First year. Keiru Hayami couldn't bear to look at those crying members. Murace Emi. Yes. The mood in the classroom was intertwined. The students who passed were happy, but they didn't dare to show it in front of those who failed. Those who weren't called were crying in a low voice, and some were quietly motionless. Toru Watanabe listened to the girls sobbing, and said to Rin Kiyono, "Not a single second-year student will pass? If I give them a chance, the judges won't give Kamigawa a chance." As the main culprit, Rin Kiyono didn't feel any guilt or pity at all in such an atmosphere. Toru Watanabe looked at her cold and fair side profile, and once again felt her cold charm that was like moonlight. If I fall behind, please let me enter Group A. Will you agree? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. No, Rin Kiyono replied. I'm a little disappointed. Rin Kiyono turned to look at Toru Watanabe and smiled. What are you laughing at? Toru Watanabe asked. You want to get my favor? Rin Kiyono rubbed his chin and asked with great interest. Of course we are the closest of friends, but I can understand your actions. If you don't understand and support my actions, then we aren't friends. It's too harsh to be your friend. So it's just you. Rin Kiyono smiled faintly. Hearing you say that, I'm not disappointed anymore. I can understand and support you. The order is reversed. You have to not be disappointed, understand, and support me first before I say that. The order isn't important. There were people here, so Toru Watanabe only smiled with his eyes. Anyway, we are friends. Can you make an exception and let me enter Group A? Rin Kiyono rolled her eyes at him and turned to look at Kaoru Hayami announcing the results. Kiyono-san? Kiyono? Are-san? Is that okay? Just this once? Can you not be so disgusting? While the two were chatting, the brass band group's name list was announced. These are the members of brass band Group A. The soloists will be announced together with the woodwind and percussion bands in the evening. Yes. There were happy, sad, and nervous responses. Kaoru Hayami looked at Rin Kiyono by the window and asked her with his eyes if there was anything else to announce. If there wasn't, then the morning would end here. She thought that there was nothing else, but when Rin Kiyono walked over, she hurriedly moved aside and let Rin Kiyono stand at the conductor's position. Regarding the members of Group A, I'm announcing a new rule. Everyone held their breaths, and the crying female members turned into sobs as they waited for her to continue. At the end of every month, those who don't perform well will be reselected. So members of Group B, please practice hard and don't make up the numbers. Group A was stunned. Yes. Group B answered excitedly. Many of the girls who were crying stopped crying and looked determined. Just like last year's head of the blowing band, Misaki Komatsu. It was fine if she didn't work hard, but if she worked hard, then she couldn't lose to others easily. This was Kanagawa High School's style. The members of Group A who were comforting the girls who failed became vigilant. The close sisterhood in the classroom was broken. Such a strong sense of competition would increase their chances of entering the national competition and winning the national gold medal. Rin Kiyono walked down from the podium and returned the seat to Kaoru Hayami. She and Toru Watanabe walked out of the blowing band. There will be a selection every month. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. What if it still doesn't work? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. Don't worry, it won't work. Rin Kiyono smiled warmly. I'll give you one-on-one special tutoring every day until your mouth goes numb. I can feel Arsan's deep love. Before Rin Kiyono's eyes turned cold, Toru Watanabe immediately changed the topic. You added this rule for me at the last minute? I thought of it at the last minute, but it's not purely to play along with your joke. This rule can increase the strength of the blowing band. You might not believe it, but the reason I made this joke was to make you think of this rule. Do you feel my deep love? Was this sentence true or false? If one day, Kiyono wrote her memoirs, you might be able to get the answer from her. Perhaps, you might even be able to learn a lot of unspoken secrets. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono left the campus from the Shiya station to the Shiya direction. Midway, they changed from the main road to a small road and had lunch in a small restaurant. It was full of seasonal ingredients. After lunch, Toru Watanabe suggested that they take a walk. Rin Kiyono hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Midway, Toru Watanabe went to buy some water. Taking the initiative to help unscrew the bottle cap, he used his master-level kickboxing and other skills to skillfully drug it. The two continued to walk along the river until they reached the Ida Bridge. Then they turned back. When they returned to the Kamigawa ramp, Rin Kiyono was sweating slightly. She couldn't help but unbutton her school uniform. Toru Watanabe glanced at her. Her white shirt was pressed under her pleated skirt, hugging her slender and well-proportioned waist. The afternoon wind blew, her black hair swayed. Her white shirt clung to her stomach, accentuating her wonderful waist. Toru Watanabe felt endless charm from Rin Kiyono's body. How far did we walk? Rin Kiyono asked when they reached the school gate. A round trip of 5 kilometers, about. Toru Watanabe said based on his long experience of running in the outer courtyard of the shrine. As long as I want to, I can do anything. She raised her snow-white neck and drank the last sip from the bottle. If it weren't for my kindness, your reputation would have been ruined long ago. Rin Kiyono twisted the bottle cap in her hand and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was staring at her. What are you thinking about? Nothing. I trust you. That's why I walked with you and drank the water you bought. How much do you want to know? Look at how much I want to know. Arsan, I'm a little scared of you. Scared of what? Rin Kiyono's tone was affectionate. I'm standing with you. If this continued, even Toru Watanabe, who was getting more and more powerful by the day, would find it difficult to resist Kiyono's charm. Seeing Toru Watanabe's silence, Rin Kiyono smiled. It's really effective, she said. What's effective? Toru Watanabe asked instinctively. I was just imitating the way you usually talk. Would the girl who chatted with him have to endure such temptation? Then why didn't Yuri marry him? Oh, the two of them had been talking one-sidedly, with his imagination running wild. Toru Watanabe broke free from the strange feeling just now. Once again, he understood that when humans face Kiyono, they would either fall in love at first sight or slowly become addicted and unable to extricate themselves. Other than that, there was no other choice. They ate and walked for 2 hours, no more and no less. The two returned to the music room and continued the selection. One by one, it was the oboe's turn. There were 3 oboe members this year, and Masanori Horikita was the second. When she walked in, she had a whistle in her mouth, the oboe was under her arm, and she was desperately staring at the music score with both hands. Sitting across from the two, she put the score on the music stand, still staring at it. Look here. After Toru Watanabe finished speaking, Masanori Horikita looked up. Please state your grade, name, and the instrument you're responsible for. Rin Kiyono repeated this sentence. First grade, Masanori Horikita Disu. I'm responsible for the oboe. After a pause, Masanori Horikita continued. I'm also Watanabe senpai's follower. Is that so? Rin Kiyono's voice was indifferent. Toru Watanabe, San's oboe is very good, so Horikita-san should be very good. It's over. Masanori Horikita held her small head regretfully. I raised the difficulty for myself. Let's begin. Toru Watanabe interrupted her self-talk. Masanori Horikita hurriedly took the oboe. The designated piece, 21 bars, the chorus with the bass horn. Play until I tell you to stop. Rin Kiyono said. Yes. Masanori Horikita's face was pale with nervousness. She closed her eyes and prayed for a while, then rapped the whistle with her small and crystal lips. The oboe's mellow tone was reflected in the early summer air. It's done. Masanori Horikita put down the oboe and wiped the sweat on her head with her sleeve. Please call the next person in. Rin Kiyono bowed her head and wrote something. Yes. Masanori Horikita slowly got up, slowly picked up the music score, and looked at Toru Watanabe with pleading eyes. Toru Watanabe secretly glanced at the list in Rin Kiyono's hand, and made an okay gesture to Masanori Horikita, who was reluctant to leave and looked back 3 times. He. Masanori Horikita snickered like a cheerful deer out of the music room. Hearing the laughter, Rin Kiyono raised her head and looked at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe looked at the glass window and whistled. The melody was Yamashita Tatsuro's Silent Night line. It hasn't disappeared yet, remaining, the thoughts of you, falling into the night. Outside the window, there were roars of encouragement from the baseball club. The selection will end at 3 o'clock, a time before dinner and afternoon tea. Let's go to my place first? Toru Watanabe suggested. Read the diary for a while, and then go out for dinner? Okay. Rin Kiyono nodded. The two got on the tram, got off at the Shinoneko station, went off the bridge, and walked to Toru Watanabe's apartment. It was a long asphalt road with tall almond trees on both sides. In May, the arc-shaped almond trees grew upward with green leaves. Toru Watanabe was in a good mood to enjoy the lively street scene. "Ara-san," he said. "Do you think that girls going to a single boy's apartment on Saturday is a hint that they can do that kind of thing?" Rin Kiyono wrapped her arms around her shoulders, turned slightly sideways, and stared at Toru Watanabe vigilantly. "I'm kidding. I know." Rin Kiyono naturally put down her hands that were covering her body. Toru Watanabe was stunned for a moment, then sighed. "I didn't expect you to be able to joke. You know whether or not you want my body," Rin Kiyono said bluntly. "Whether or not I will do that, you know better than me. Usually not, but you said it yourself, the location is your apartment, and there's no one there. What if your long-suppressed vulgar desire takes over again?" "Suppressed for a long time? So I've been thinking about your body for that long. Since the day you joined the Human Observation Department, you've been secretly looking at my legs, right? Don't talk about this kind of thing on the street." Toru Watanabe lowered his voice. "No, it's fine if you don't say it. It's fine as long as the two of us know. I've already written it on the first year of high school's employment survey." When they reached the apartment, the two of them took the elevator to the 5th floor. That's Koizumi-sensei, Miyazaki-sensei, and Miyazaki-sensei's rooms. When the door opened, Toru Watanabe introduced room 501 to them. "Your lover lives across the street?" Rin Kiyono said sarcastically. "My sensei lives upstairs in room 602. Toru Watanabe walked into room 502. Toru Watanabe would tell her everything, but he still had the idea that there was nothing he needed to hide from Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono smiled coldly. She refused to comment. She originally wanted to mock Toru Watanabe by saying, "Poor Miki Kujo was deceived." But when she thought about how this would only deepen Toru Watanabe's guilt, she decided against it. Besides, with Miki Kujo's personality, she probably didn't investigate Toru Watanabe carefully when he moved in because she was pretending to be magnanimous and completely trusted Toru Watanabe. But after she defeated her cutest self, Toru Watanabe, she would settle all her debts with him. Even though Rin Kiyono didn't care about Toru Watanabe's health, when it came to settling debts, she was just like Miki Kujo. After she completely defeated Toru Watanabe, it would be time for her to deal with him. She would cleanse his soul completely, and leave only her colors behind. Toru Watanabe, who was oblivious, was bending over to get Rin Kiyono a pair of slippers. The door behind him opened. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and looked at the open door with a sneer on her beautiful face. The door was opened, and Mayasahi, who was carrying shopping bags, looked at the two of them. Without any pause, she said to Toru Watanabe, "Toru, I bought groceries. We're having hot pot tonight." After that, she turned to Rin Kiyono. "Rin, you come too." "Rin." Rin Kiyono repeated the name. Mayasahi nodded gently. "You call me Mai. When did you two become so close?" Toru Watanabe looked back and forth between the two of them. Mayasahi looked at Toru Watanabe in confusion, and said in a voice without any confusion, "We're both Toru's lovers. I don't want to have conflicts. I want to live a good life with Toru. Is that how you talk about me behind my back?" Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe gently. Chapter 264. Facing Rin Kiyono's obsidian eyes, Toru Watanabe's mouth opened and closed like a goldfish. He didn't say it to Mayasahi, but because of Mayasahi, he said it to Aono Koizumi. It was last summer, when they were living together in the Blowing Club. Mayasahi wanted to take the adult disc she bought to him in the middle of the night, so he had no choice but to propose to go by himself. Then, he was caught by Aono Koizumi, who woke up in the middle of the night. Why did he say that he was going on a date with Rin Kiyono? Right, it was Aono Koizumi who said that he had a relationship with Rin Kiyono, so he took advantage of the opportunity to say that. Seino Rin stared at the side of Toru Watanabe's face as he fell into deep thought, and sighed helplessly. "If you want me to forgive you, at least apologize to me first," she said. Sorry." Toru Watanabe came back to his senses and answered subconsciously. His apology was perfunctory, and she didn't know if it was because he was distracted, or because she was his lover. Rin Kiyono rolled her eyes at him and didn't pursue the matter. She turned her gaze to Masahi. This official lover of Toru Watanabe was looking at Toru Watanabe with deep affection, as if he was the only one in the world who didn't care about the conflict just now. Tomorrow, senior, Rin Kiyono said. I won't be polite with dinner. After that, she coldly glanced at Toru Watanabe. This time it's tomorrow senior's treat. Remember that. My treat means my treat, Masahi said coldly and firmly. Is that so? Rin Kiyono didn't comment. She bent down slightly, and her long hair fell from her shoulders. She lifted her feet, reached her fingers into her instep and hooked off her flat shoes. She changed into the slippers that Toru Watanabe had given her. After changing her shoes, she walked in as if it was her own apartment. Toru Watanabe took the shopping bag from Masahi's hand. Let's go in as well. After entering the living room, Toru Watanabe first poured a glass of water for Rin Kiyono, then took his diary for her to read. He and Masahi went to the kitchen to wash the vegetables and make the soup for the hot pot. Outside the window the light was bright, and the birds were hopping about among the green leaves of the trees on the street. It was still early. They washed the vegetables slowly, one slice at a time, and cut them bit by bit. Then, they used the most beautiful way to arrange them and place them on the plates. Rin Kiyono sat in the living room with a glass of water on the table in front of her. Toru Watanabe's diary was on her lap. She looked around, and her gaze lingered on the cheap television for 2 seconds. His parents must have bought it for him. As she thought this, she began to read the diary. She flipped open the cover, and saw the first sentence written on the title page. No matter when and where, be careful of Russia-san. Although she already knew, Rin Kiyono still smiled when she saw Toru Watanabe's neat handwriting. Be careful of what? Worried that he would lose his vigilance, fall in love with her, and give up everything? She was in a good mood, and suddenly she didn't want to read anymore. She closed the diary and walked to the kitchen. I'll help, she said. You're not reading anymore? Toru Watanabe turned around and asked her. Let's go back and read. Rin Kiyono elegantly rolled up the sleeves of her school uniform, revealing her smooth and delicate wrists. Looking at her dazzlingly beautiful arms, Toru Watanabe suddenly remembered something. The roses are still in the mailbox downstairs. I'll go get them. I'll leave this to you. He shook the water off his hand. Rin Kiyono slightly frowned and looked at his movements with disgust. Don't get water on the kitchen floor, she reprimanded. Sorry. Toru Watanabe took a kitchen towel and wiped his hands. Get out of the way, Rin Kiyono said again. Yes. The two of them exchanged places. Rin Kiyono walked to Masahi's side and helped her with the preparation of the ingredients. Whose kitchen is this? Let me take a good look at the house sign. It's Rin. Rin Kiyono suddenly turned around and looked at Toru Watanabe with cold eyes. What are you still doing here, student Toru? Rin ordered him to expel her. Coincidence? Or could this guy really be a mind reader? There couldn't be two people whose minds were connected to this extent, right? They weren't twins. Wait, born on the same day, could they really be twins? Is he the eldest son of the Seigo family who was lost in the wild? That didn't seem too bad. In the future, Rin Kiyono could naturally stay by his side for the rest of his life. But if that was the case, would he have to change his surname when he married Miki Kujo? When he went downstairs again to retrieve the roses that had been lying in the mailbox for the entire day, Toru Watanabe kept thinking about the things that hurt his parents in the countryside. Rin Kiyono used her fair fingers to peel off a fresh cabbage leaf. Masahi was beside her, removing the shrimp lines in the pond. Her delicate face was expressionless, but one could feel her faint joy. What do you plan to do in the future? Rin Kiyono suddenly asked. Masahi raised her head and looked at her with her clear eyes in confusion. Be together with Toru. Will we always be lovers like this? You want to compete with Kujo? Masahi asked calmly. After hearing this, Rin Kiyono remembered that she hadn't clarified that she wasn't Toru Watanabe's lover. She was so focused on Toru Watanabe that she forgot about this matter. She didn't care about other people, and it didn't matter how they looked at her. Yes, I want to compete with her. She put the cabbage and the basket beside the pond, waiting for Masahi to wash it. My Asahi nodded slightly and continued to process the shrimp. Do you know about Koizumi-sensei? Rin Kiyono picked up a shiitake and carved a beautiful cross on it. Yes. You're not jealous? As long as I'm with Toru. Why wouldn't you be jealous when the person you like is with another girl? Rin Kiyono stopped cutting and looked at her. Asami Mai turned on the tap, and the water flowed down, washing the cleaned prawns. Rin Kiyono heard her answer amidst the sound of water. If Toru isn't by my side, I can't feel anything. If one day Kujo asks Watanabe to leave you, and he really leaves you, what will you do? Without Toru, my life is like an anesthetic. I can't feel anything when I walk, and it can end any time. Rin Kiyono looked at my Asahi's side profile. Her expression was still calm and emotionless. But she was honest, and every word she said was true. Rin Kiyono suddenly regretted asking my Asahi these questions on this Saturday afternoon. Miki Kujo wouldn't care about losing my Asahi and Aona Koizumi from Toru Watanabe, but what about her? She was so cute, and her chances of winning were higher than Miki Kujo's. When the time came, would she consider Miki Kujo, my Asahi, and Aona Koizumi? She definitely couldn't let Toru Watanabe be with them, but could she let my Asahi end her life? The sound of water suddenly disappeared, and the kitchen was so quiet that it was hard to calm down. Rin Kiyono came back to her senses, and found my Asahi's hand on the tap, and the shrimp in the sink was already washed. Toru won't leave me, my Asahi said as she turned on the tap again, and began washing the cabbage. With the sound of water, Rin Kiyono realized that Toru Watanabe's responsibility was far heavier than she imagined. Back in room 502, Toru Watanabe put the rose with the diary together with the diary, waiting for Rin Kiyono to take it with her when she went back. Do you need help, ladies? He walked into the kitchen and looked at their charming backs. Take out the pot, clean the table, and take out the washed vegetables. Rin Kiyono's white little hands handled the last shiitake mushroom. Yes. Toru Watanabe picked up the dishes and took 2 steps out. Suddenly he asked as if he remembered something. Where do we eat? Where do we eat what? Rin Kiyono put down the knife and took out the plate with the beef. The dining table? The living room? The balcony is fine too. Toru, you can decide. My Asahi handed a plate to Rin Kiyono. Thank you. After thanking her, Rin Kiyono thought for a moment and said to Toru Watanabe, the balcony. Okay, I'll move the table and the gas stove. Toru Watanabe carried the 2 dishes out of the kitchen and prepared to move them along with the table to the balcony. He deliberately slowed down the speed of processing the ingredients and chatted aimlessly. When the sun set, the 3 of them finally began to enjoy the hot pot. They sat around the table, leaving the balcony empty. The pot gurgled and steam rose from the hot pot. The rich aroma wafted in the direction of the shrine. Toru Watanabe ate the hot pot. Rin Kiyono and my Asahi served rice and a glass of fruit juice each. How's college life? Toru Watanabe ate a piece of tofu that was soaked in soup. His mouth was steaming along with the pot. It's so. My Asahi answered. Tomorrow-senpai also joined the music club in college? Rin Kiyono ate a piece of beef and ate enoki mushrooms with rice. Yes. My Asahi gave Toru Watanabe a piece of prawn. Rin Kiyono watched this scene, and then stared at Toru Watanabe. If you want to eat, help yourself. Don't look at me. Toru Watanabe said. I think the shiitake mushrooms are delicious. What do you think? Rin Kiyono's voice had no tone of negotiation. Here. Toru Watanabe gave her a piece of shiitake mushroom. Rin Kiyono sighed. Eat slowly. It's best to eat it until the moon comes out. Toru Watanabe said. Downstairs, there were people taking a walk with their dogs. They didn't know if the dogs smelled the aroma, but the dogs barked. The last rays of the setting sun reluctantly left the forest outside the shrine. Lights were lit all over Tokyo. Toru Watanabe turned on the balcony light. Under the warm yellow light, the steam of the hot pot was even more clear. After eating and drinking, Rin Kiyono prepared to go back. I'll walk you, Toru Watanabe said. Rin Kiyono nodded. Che, I'll wait for you at home. My Asahi walked the 2 of them to the entrance. Rin Kiyono, who was holding the notes and roses, looked at Toru Watanabe as if she was watching a show. Do you want to stay? You don't have to walk me out. She conveyed this message with her eyes. Toru Watanabe glanced at her, then turned to my Asahi and said, Do you need anything? I'll bring it back on my way back. My Asahi shook her head. Her soft hair swayed gently. Toru Watanabe didn't take his coat. He wore his school uniform shirt and went out. The two of them walked on the asphalt road full of apricot trees and went to Shinoneko Station. How come I don't see Koizumi-sensei? After eating and enjoying the comfortable night wind, Rin Kiyono's voice was a little more comfortable than during the day. If she doesn't have work on Saturday and Sunday, she will go out with Huangzi and Miyazaki. Sometimes she will come back on the same day and spend the night there. This week she went to Kamakura. She said she was going to see the hydrangeas. Toru Watanabe put his hands in his pockets and looked at the sparse stars in the night sky. She didn't ask you to come? She's shy. If I go, Huangzi and Miyazaki will make fun of her. It's convenient for you if the lovers stagger their time, right? Rin Kiyono turned her face and looked at Toru Watanabe. The night wind blew his hair. His throat was very beautiful. I've never thought of it that way. Toru Watanabe's voice contained a smile, but I envy Koizumi-sensei's life. She has a good job and can go out with her friends during the holidays. With that, he turned his head and looked at Rin Kiyono. I hope that in the future, the three of us can also do the same. The car passed by on the asphalt road. The headlights illuminated the handsome outline of his face. His expression was soft and kind. Which three? Rin Kiyono asked knowingly. Of course it's you, me, and Kei-san. Toru Watanabe said. Some words are only for you. Now we're all in the same class and play around every day. But the only ones who can be friends for life are the three of us. Why? What reason? By the way, when I went to get the roses, I thought of something. When you asked me what I was doing in the kitchen, didn't you call me so-and-so classmate? Yeah. Rin Kiyono nodded. The moment before I said this, I called you so-and-so Rin in my heart. And then? What nonsense did you think? I was thinking that the two of us have too much tacit understanding. Could it be that we're twins? No, you don't look like my parents at all. We didn't lose any children in our family. I'm just saying. I wouldn't be willing to be twins with you. Are you afraid that you won't like me? Rin Kiyono tucked her hair that was blown by the wind behind her ear. What are you talking about, my sister? It's not appropriate for the two of us to talk about this. Toru Watanabe had the attitude of Kiyono. Why are we brother and sister, not brother and sister? I don't have any objections. I can be brother and sister too. I have a wide range of interests. Rin Kiyono rolled her eyes at him. What time were you born on June 6th? 2:03 a.m. Toru Watanabe tilted his head and looked at her. What about you? Younger than me? Ahaha. Rin Kiyono didn't laugh. She just looked at him. Toru Watanabe stopped laughing and said in astonishment, It can't be the same time, right? This time Rin Kiyono laughed. Her smile was as beautiful as the sunset, faint and without much warmth. The two of them looked at each other. It was obviously just a coincidence, but because of their close relationship, the two of them believed that it was fate. Toru Watanabe looked away. Out of the corner of his eye, the Shinano station was not far away. What a pity. It seems that we really aren't twins. My dream of being the young master of the Kiyono family is shattered. He sighed as if it was really a pity, dispersing the atmosphere just now. Rin Kiyono looked at him in amusement. From my Asahi, she understood Toru Watanabe's responsibility and no longer said that he was timid. Watanabe-san, do you have enough courage? She stopped and no longer approached the station. Toru Watanabe also stopped and proudly said, Besides Mickey and you, there is nothing that can make me afraid. It seems that it's not enough. Rin Kiyono said. What do you mean? If my Asahi-san doesn't want to be with you, she will choose to end her life. Kujo won't allow you to have a lover. After saying that, Rin Kiyono looked directly at Toru Watanabe's dark and bright eyes. Watanabe-san, do you intend to repent and get Miki Kujo's forgiveness? Or do you intend to summon enough courage to turn a bad situation into a smooth road leading to happiness for everyone? On the asphalt road, the two people under the apricot tree didn't say a word. Only the sound of the car passing by could be heard. What do you mean by that? Toru Watanabe's voice was unprecedentedly cold. Normally he was easygoing, but when he was cold, he gave off an unexpectedly heavy pressure. Rin Kiyono sensed it, but she covered her mouth with her hand and smiled beautifully. Toru Watanabe probably thought that she was no longer fighting with Miki Kujo, and decided to let go of him. Instead of caring about his own future, he cared about whether or not she still loved him. This person usually pretended to be hypocritical and said that they were friends. She looked at Toru Watanabe teasingly and said, "Watanabe-san, in this world in my life, there is only one Toru Watanabe." Of course. Toru Watanabe's expression relaxed. "In this world in your life, there is only one Rin Kiyono." Observing his expression, Rin Kiyono continued, "Kujo, Asuka, and Koizumi, there is only one of each of them." At last she said, watching the fun, "What are you thinking and what are you going to do? Let me observe you, Watanabe-san." Toru Watanabe froze for a moment, then smiled helplessly. "Kiyono-san, please have some sympathy." "Sorry, I'm a bad woman," Rin Kiyono replied with a smile. Chapter 265. May 7th, the second Monday of May. After the first physics class, Toru Watanabe sat opposite to Miki Kujo, using her desk as his own. "Help me think." He was holding the pen and paper that Aono Koizumi had bought for him from Kamakura yesterday. "Think about what?" Miki Kujo retracted her gaze from the window, resting her chin on her hand. "Keisuke Saito's Megami's game script. Didn't you all say that it was completely useless last Friday? I can only rewrite it." Toru Watanabe explained. "You're the one who wrote it completely useless." Rin Kiyono, who was reading, pointed out Toru Watanabe's faulty wording. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo, hoping that the two of them would quarrel. This time he would definitely stand on Miki Kujo's side. Miki Kujo yawned lazily. Toru Watanabe, who was close to her, could see her wet tongue and clean white teeth. They didn't quarrel. He could only do it himself. Toru Watanabe turned his gaze to Rin Kiyono. "My script is completely useless, so I'll have to trouble Kiyono classmate to write a wonderful script for me to read." Rin Kiyono didn't respond. She was reading some unknown book today that had a cover. "I entered Kamigawa from the countryside, and became the top student in Kamigawa from third place. Although I chose science, I'm also impeccable in liberal arts. You don't have any works, yet you say that my script is completely useless. This isn't like Kiyono classmate, who speaks with her own ability. You're the one who asked others to review your script, and you're unhappy with your flaws being pointed out, so you want me to write one too?" Rin Kiyono said sarcastically. "Yep, I'm that kind of person. So, are you scared?" Rin Kiyono looked up from her book and looked at Toru Watanabe disapprovingly. "Since you want to challenge me, I'll show you the difference between us. The difference between first and second in the country." Toru Watanabe asked curiously. Miki Kujo, who was resting her head lazily on her hand, laughed impolitely. "Ah, third place is laughing," Rin Kiyono sneered. "In terms of learning time, I can only get third place." Miki Kujo also retorted with a cold smile. Study time? Was being one of the top 3 in the country something that could be achieved with time? Even if some people work hard for their entire lives and are given a chance every year, they still won't be able to enter the top 100 in the country. In the end, Rin Kiyono concluded, "Kujo-san, the real apex belongs to the smart people. If you're not smart, then no matter how hard you work, it's useless." Miki Kujo put down her hand that was supporting her head and looked at Rin Kiyono with narrowed eyes. Her eyes were sharp and charming. She was about to speak. "I agree." Toru Watanabe placed his pen on his upper lip, as if he was smelling the fragrance of the hydrangeas in Kamakura. "I think that being first in the country is the real smart person. The others aren't worth mentioning." The two young ladies looked at him with cold eyes and cruel smiles. "Just kidding." Toru Watanabe slammed his pen on the table and looked at the two girls. The real apex belongs to the smart people who work hard. In order to eliminate the factor of hard work, let's use a script to decide who's the real number one. How about it? He added. The first person to write a script. Who's going to be the judge? Rin Kiyono, who considered herself to be smart, accepted the challenge. Toru Watanabe thought for a while. Submit a manuscript? Let the editors have the final say. Submit a manuscript? Miki Kujo asked. Denjiki, Fuji, Katakawa, MFJ-GA, and so on all have their own manuscripts every year. The highest prize is 3 million yen and 100 yen. That kind of thing takes a long time. I don't have time to play games with you. Miki Kujo didn't understand this industry, but from a business perspective, she immediately deduced the operating model of the manuscripts. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and clicked on Katakawa Bunko's manuscripts page. The manuscripts would be accepted from April to November, and the winners would be announced in March of the following year. It's indeed very long. Toru Watanabe half answered, half muttering to himself. He clicked on each library to see if there were any recent manuscripts competitions. Finally, he found a suitable one on a library he had never heard of. The manuscripts will be accepted from March to May, and the results will be announced in early June. The timing is just right. But there's only one prize, 200,000 yen. It's enough for the two of you to treat me to a meal. Toru Watanabe raised his head and asked them. That's it? It's too troublesome. I'm not participating. Miki Kujo lazily laid on the table. Since it's a club activity, why don't you give it a try? Toru Watanabe asked her. His voice was soft as if he was talking to someone who was about to fall asleep. Don't bully the third place Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono advised without a trace of kindness. Miki Kujo maintained her position on the table as her beautiful eyes stared at Rin Kiyono. Forget it. Toru Watanabe regretted. Even if it's written well, it's not guaranteed to win a prize. But those who can win a prize generally write well. Rin Kiyono's tone was leisurely. Toru Watanabe looked at her with, hey, do you really have to do this? But Rin Kiyono ignored her. Miki Kujo withdrew her gaze from Rin Kiyono and asked Toru Watanabe. What are the requirements for the submission? Light novels, light literature, subject matter limited to high school or university life. What's the bet? Rin Kiyono asked again. There's still a bet. Toru Watanabe couldn't take it anymore. 1 year of personal living expenses. Miki Kujo sneered. And the loser is not allowed to accept money from the family for 1 year. The money you earn from the Kujo family's resources must be counted as the family's money. Rin Kiyono stated her conditions. No problem. You're also not allowed to give Watanabe-san money in advance and let him support you. You make it sound like you've already won. I'm looking forward to the scene of you working part-time. Miki Kujo revealed a cruel smile. Since we grew up together, I can introduce you to a job. Come to my family and work as a maid. The hourly wage will be 10,000 yen. I'll say the same to you, but the hourly wage will only be 5,000 yen. Rin Kiyono smiled contemptuously. Do you really know the average hourly wage in Tokyo? Toru Watanabe, who used to work as a coolie, didn't say this. Let's not gamble. Gambling isn't good. Change to something else. Miki Kujo lifted her chin, indicating that he should voice his opinion. Let's hear it. Rin Kiyono also said. The loser will work as a maid in the club for 1 week? Toru Watanabe asked in a probing tone. After a short silence, the two beautiful girls seemed to become more and more intimidating. The girl Aoyachiki, who was immersed in studying between classes, moved her butt under her pleated skirt. I agree. Rin Kiyono nodded. When we go back today, I'll have someone order a maid's uniform. Miki Kujo looked at Rin Kiyono. Tell me your size, Kiyono-san. Please tell me as well, Kujo-san. Rin Kiyono coldly stared back. There wasn't a speck of dust outside the window, and the sky was as blue as the sea. Toru Watanabe was in a good mood. Maid is good. Yes, it's good. Just as Toru Watanabe was thinking about whether or not to buy a high-end video camera, Miki Kujo suddenly grabbed his tie and pulled his upper body closer. "My dear, you're very happy," she said with a smile, pausing between each word. The two of them were so close that they could feel each other's breath. On the left, Rin Kiyono was also looking at Toru Watanabe with a cold gaze. "It's okay, baby." Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo's beautiful lips. "If we lose, we'll wear maid's uniform for 1 week. If you lose, you'll wear it for 1 month," Miki Kujo announced, not allowing any room for negotiation. Wait. Toru Watanabe grabbed her hand. "I'm a boy, and wear maid's uniform? Can I change it to a manager's uniform?" Miki Kujo smiled intimately, but her words were heartless. "No. I agree." Rin Kiyono nodded, then rubbed her chin and muttered to herself. "Where did I put the DSLR I bought last year during the cultural festival?" "Very good." Toru Watanabe took away Miki Kujo's hand and pulled down his school uniform's necktie along with his shirt collar. "Maid's uniform you'll wear." Before he could finish, Miki Kujo helped him put his necktie back on. She was always very stubborn about this. The second period was English. Aona Koizumi came in with a lesson plan. She was gentle and beautiful, dressed fashionably, and had a mature and charming temperament. She was the idol of many girls in Kamigawa. When he was in his first year of high school, Toru Watanabe often heard Kazumi Ikeda and the other girls discussing Aona Koizumi's makeup, hairstyle, and clothes. Every time in English class, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but feel excited and his heart beat faster when he thought about how Aona Koizumi, who everyone admired, would be in his arms. It was the same for Aona Koizumi. Toru Watanabe was handsome, tall, and charming. He was the idol of all girls in Kamigawa, and many young female teachers often talked about him. During class allocation, everyone wanted him to go to their class. And such a young, handsome, and energetic boy had an affair with her. She always had the urge to show off to everyone around her, but she was also very shy. All kinds of emotions intertwined into happy worries. The class started. Aona Koizumi explained English grammar, without any changes from before. Occasionally, she would look at the corner, and every time, Toru Watanabe would be looking at her. Although she wanted him to pay attention in class and study hard, it felt good, and she didn't want to remind him deliberately. She used excuses such as students should keep an eye on their teachers in class, or with Watanabe's grades in English, it's fine even if he's slightly distracted, to make herself feel at ease. During lunch break, Toru Watanabe and Keisuke Saito went to the cafeteria for lunch. During lunch, they talked about the light novel submission. "The top 3 students in the entire human observation department are helping me write a screenplay." Keisuke Saito was so excited that he even forgot to eat. "Just me." Toru Watanabe ate a fried pork chop. They said that they're writing light novels for the sake of a bet, and that they don't want to participate in some megami. Although that was what they said, it would be different if Toru Watanabe was the one writing the megami. "Watanabe." Osamu Kunai angrily ate a tempura shrimp. "You're helping Saito but not me? I'm breaking off all relations with you." "The other day, I had to pester Watanabe for half a day before he finally agreed to help me write the screenplay," Keisuke Saito bragged. "Then I'll keep pestering you from now on," Osamu Kunai said to Toru Watanabe. "You two are each more troublesome than the last." Toru Watanabe sounded helpless. Both of them laughed heartily. Toru Watanabe promised Osamu Kunai that he would go to the baseball club after school. Only now did he learn that he still needed to take a test. Osamu Kunai kept saying that he would be able to play as long as he showed up, but it turned out that it was only an opportunity. But this was fine as well. As long as he failed the test, Osamu Kunai wouldn't bother him about it anymore. After the matter with the baseball club was resolved, Toru Watanabe asked Keisuke Saito, "I'll give you the screenplay as a light novel at the end of June. How are your preparations coming along?" "I'm still working on them." Itsuki-san said that she'll help me ask around in the wind instrument club. "I'm planning on going to the art club to look for Chienzi after school today." Keisuke Saito was in the mood to talk, and he started chatting with them about how he wanted to create a touching and best-selling YMI game. Toru Watanabe listened to him without saying a single word. He was only responsible for the screenplay. He didn't care about anything else, nor was he interested. If he had the time, he might as well read a couple of books or try to recall the master-level video clips that he hadn't used in a long time, and see if they would be of any help to his photography. Both Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo were dressed as maids at the same time. Perhaps this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After his afternoon classes, Toru Watanabe left his backpack in the human observation department and informed Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono that he was going to head to the baseball field. "I'll go with you." Miki Kujo, who had just laid down, reached out her fair and tender hand and had Toru Watanabe pull her up. "What are you going to do?" "It's all dust." Toru Watanabe held her hand and gently squeezed it. He didn't immediately pull her up. "Observe high school life," Miki Kujo said. She was usually busy with work. Apart from attending classes, she spent her time in this activity classroom. She only attended high school in Japan once during the cultural festival in from Iwate Prefecture to Tokyo, 400 kilometers. She played the role of Toru Watanabe's girlfriend, who died young. "Okay, let's go." Toru Watanabe pulled her up. Miki Kujo deliberately didn't stand still and lazily fell to the ground. Toru Watanabe hurriedly hugged her and put his hand on her slender waist. "Be careful." Miki Kujo heard his stern reprimand and immediately asked with concern, "You didn't sleep well last night? You should lie down and rest. Don't go." She was very satisfied with his reaction, but she still said coldly, "You don't love me anymore." The smart Toru Watanabe was occasionally stunned. It was too cute. If it wasn't for the sake of continuing acting, Miki Kujo wanted to press him down on the sofa, straddle his waist with her legs, and kiss his lips. "You just told me to lie down and rest. You didn't say anything about canceling the script competition," she said. "How sweet." Rin Kiyono coldly mocked. Toru Watanabe patted Miki Kujo's waist through the school uniform and called out to Rin Kiyono. "Kiyono-san, why don't you come too?" Both of them looked at him. Toru Watanabe leaned close to Miki Kujo's ear and whispered, but his voice didn't lower. "Didn't we agree on Friday? It's rock, paper, scissors. The loser has to run." "She's so weak that she can't even withstand a single blow." Hearing this, Miki Kujo looked at Rin Kiyono from Toru Watanabe's arms. *slap. The literary girl slammed her book shut. "Let's go to the field." She stood up and said coldly. "Che, help me put on my shoes." Miki Kujo left Toru Watanabe's arms. They were at each other's throats. Toru Watanabe wanted to exchange for vitality pills to drug the two girls. Chapter 266. They didn't leave immediately. Toru Watanabe couldn't let them run in their school skirts, and he wouldn't allow it. Although one of them was wearing black pantyhose, and the other was wearing safety pants. He stood guard outside the door while the two young ladies changed their clothes inside. During the winter camping trip, Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe went to wake Miki Kujo up. At that time, they caught a glimpse of her body. Now Miki Kujo was unbuttoning her shirt as if there was no one around. When she let her pleated skirt fall to the ground, Rin Kiyono subconsciously took a few glances. Slender white neck, round and perky breasts, beautiful waist. Even though she knew that she wasn't bad, she still couldn't help but feel a little envious. Toru Watanabe already has such a beauty. My advantage is that I know everything about him, Rin Kiyono thought. Out of a girl's desire to compare, Miki Kujo also looked at Rin Kiyono from the corner of her eyes. Her skirt was unbuttoned, revealing her long and slender legs. Her curves were so beautiful that it made people crazy, and every part of her delicate and white body. Even if a woman saw it, her heart would race and she would want to touch it carefully. Even she was moved, not to mention Watanabe. Miki Kujo became even more vigilant. After changing into spring sports clothes, the three of them left the human observation department and walked towards the baseball field. Between the corridor and the stairs, they could hear the messy and melodious sounds of instruments from the playing department. After they walked out of the club building, they arrived at the field and entered the world of sports clubs. Their surroundings suddenly became lively. Kamigawa, do your best. The karate club was running on the track under the lead of the ponytailed female club head. Breathe. Pay attention to the rhythm. Arms. The dark-skinned track and field club head was training the new members of the first grade. On the football field, the coach was breaking down the movements of the club members. Inside the barbed wire fence, some of the tennis club members were practicing with each other, while others were practicing alone against the wall. The three of them with outstanding appearances attracted a lot of attention. Under the gaze of these people, they arrived at the baseball field that was covered in sand. The members of the baseball club were originally wearing white clothes, but now they were stained with mud. Everyone's faces were covered with sweat. Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo stood outside the baseball field and waited side by side for Toru Watanabe to finish his interview. Under the guidance of Osamu Kanai, Toru Watanabe met the coach who liked to scold people. Without any superfluous words, the coach let him go directly to the pitcher's mound. The first ball was easily hit. The second ball was hit by another batter. The wide face of the baseball coach, which had been exposed to the elements, showed an expression of wasting time. The third ball was hit very far. Looking at the excited look on the batter's face, it seemed like it was a very big deal. Toru Watanabe knew nothing about baseball. He only knew that he had to throw into the strike zone. However, it did not matter. He did not care about the face of a transmigrator or the owner of the system. Compared to that, he was really angry that the #1 spot in the country had been snatched away. The interview ended. Toru Watanabe took off his gloves and turned around to look at the two beautiful girls. He was afraid that they would get impatient from waiting. Who knew that Sano Rain had a faint smile on his face and Kujio Miki had a look of disdain on her face. He took back his words. He would also be angry if he was looked down upon by these two. Toru Watanabe put back on the gloves that he was about to pass to the female manager of the baseball club. He waved at Osamu Kanai, who was acting as the catcher. Thanks to the tacit understanding they had developed during their sparring sessions last year, he threw a baseball to Toru Watanabe. The batter looked at the coach. Seeing that the coach did not call for a stop, he got into position and prepared to receive the ball. Osamu Kanai also squatted down again. Make a guess. Rin Kiyono looked at Miki Kujo. Since he's serious, he won't get hit. If both of them bet the same, the game won't work, Rin Kiyono said regretfully. Miki Kujo said sarcastically, "You seem to have a lot of confidence in my boyfriend." "I have confidence in my club members." The two of them looked at each other. "Did you see that?" Toru Watanabe walked over in high spirits. "That beautiful high-speed ball." Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono turned to look at him. Behind Toru Watanabe was the batter who doubted his eyes. There was also the catcher, Osamu Kanai, who was staring at the ball in his hand in disbelief. "Let's go when it's over." Rin Kiyono turned and walked towards the field. She wasn't interested in sports at all. She just wanted to ridicule Toru Watanabe with a smile. "Why did you have to throw the fourth ball? You're wasting my time." Miki Kujo turned around and walked towards the field as well. "Didn't you see it?" Toru Watanabe chased after them. "I instantly entered sage mode and absorbed the natural energy of the oak tree at the school gate. I threw the high-speed ball in the form of a bijidama. You didn't see it. Go to the infirmary on your way back," Rin Kiyono said gently. "I was joking. I'm not delusional. Is there really something wrong with your head? What I meant was for you to shut up. Watanabe-san. Don't make me explain everything to you. I'm not your mother." "Shut up. Are you qualified?" Miki Kujo sneered. The head of the Human Observation Department and the deputy head of the Human Observation Department. "Is there a problem, Miki Kujo-san? Stop arguing, you two. I'm talking about my high-speed ball." "Shut up," both of them said at the same time. It seemed that the so-called deputy head of the Human Observation Department had the least human rights. After the three of them left, the coach called Osamu Kanai over. "Tell him to come to training tomorrow." Osamu Kanai had a hesitant expression on his face. He knew that Toru Watanabe didn't want to come to the baseball club on purpose. "Coach," he said, "Watanabe doesn't really like baseball. You don't know this, but he's the ace of the trumpet club. Many music universities want to recruit him." "I see." The coach hesitated. How about we register Kun Watanabe's name first? Whether or not he participates in training depends on the situation. In case he changes his mind, or if there's an accident in the baseball club, it'll be good to have another person as a substitute. The female manager of the baseball club held up Toru Watanabe's baseball gloves. The baseball gloves were hers, but from now on, they were exclusive to Toru Watanabe's baseball club members. Perhaps they would be tainted with the smell of Kun Watanabe's sweat. Yujiko, what accident could happen in the baseball club? Even if there was an accident, Watanabe wouldn't have to come to the rescue, right? Osamu Kunai said. The girl named Yujiko glared at him and said to the coach in a commanding tone, "Dad, that's it." The coach hesitated and asked Osamu Kunai, "If it's just registering a name, it shouldn't be a problem, right? No matter what, it has to be voluntary." Osamu Kunai thought about Toru Watanabe's personality and said, "It's fine if it's just registering a name. I'll just let him know." Great. Yujiko excitedly looked forward to the future. Hurry up and pull Kun Watanabe into the baseball club's line group. Osamu Kunai thought about Toru Watanabe's personality again and said, "He doesn't have the final say in this kind of thing. His girlfriend and Kiyono have to agree." Why does Kiyono have to agree? Everything about Toru Watanabe had a strong attraction to girls, including Yujiko. Osamu Kunai's interest was immediately piqued when he talked about his friend's bad deeds. Because he... Bastard. What are you still doing here? Go train. Yes, coach. Osamu Kunai subconsciously answered loudly. He put on his cap and ran into the baseball field. Toru Watanabe, who had no idea that he had become a member of the baseball club, accompanied the two young ladies to the track. It was the end of spring and the beginning of summer. It was still a little cold in the morning and evening. The track and field club members were already wearing short-sleeved sportswear. The girls' strong, slender legs were exposed in the air. Their energetic breasts and buttocks were tightly wrapped in sportswear. It was simple, but it rippled with the unique charm of a young girl. Because of Toru Watanabe's arrival, many girls either ran harder or were hesitant. They were too embarrassed to use their full strength, afraid that their posture would be too ugly. At around 3:50 in the afternoon, white clouds were floating in the sky above Shinjuku. The sky was blue, and there were no clouds. "What are you looking at?" Miki Kujo's faint voice came from behind him. "They're running." Toru Watanabe pointed at the track and field club members. Looking at their legs? Legs. Toru Watanabe really hadn't thought of this. He was just staring at them unconsciously. This seemed to be beneath his status as a leg researcher. No, he was only studying the legs of 4 people. "Ah," Rin Kiyono mocked. "Kujo-san, are you not confident in your own legs? You're actually afraid that Watanabe-san is looking at the others." Miki Kujo didn't think much of it. "Kiyono-san can't understand the jealousy of a girlfriend," she said. "Is it jealousy or lack of confidence? You have to distinguish clearly, Kujo-san." Miki Kujo slowly walked to Rin Kiyono's side and patted her inviolable shoulder with her white hand. "You'll understand when you become my girlfriend, but you'll never have the chance in your life. Don't cry all afternoon and make me get scolded by the elders." Rin Kiyono swatted away Miki Kujo's hand and laughed sarcastically while hugging her elbow. "Don't get angry and ignore me when you lose, and then come play with me the next day when nothing happened. Both of you were very cute when you were young." Toru Watanabe praised them. "It would be great if I could grow up together with you." Miki Kujo looked at him. "Let's go back." "Go back? Go back to the past?" Toru Watanabe was stunned. This matter was too difficult for him right now. Even if it was the future, there was no guarantee that he would have the ability to do so. "Let's go back to the activity room," Miki Kujo said as she walked in the direction of the club building. "Where's the rock-paper-scissors game?" Toru Watanabe was caught off guard and hurriedly asked. "You want to stay here and look after my legs?" Miki Kujo said without turning her head. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, who was still standing there. Her beautiful face and skin were as white as spring. She was charming and adorable. "You're going back right after coming out?" Toru Watanabe asked her. "Isn't it good?" Rin Kiyono said with a smile. You can look at my legs after we go back. What else are you unhappy about? Toru Watanabe pressed his hand heavily on Rin Kiyono's other shoulder and looked at her with a gloomy expression. You're dead if you say it out loud. Rin Kiyono first looked at the man's hand on her shoulder for 2 seconds, then looked at the owner of the hand, Toru Watanabe. Take it away. Ah, sorry. Toru Watanabe retracted his hand as if he had done something wrong. Women were like June in Tokyo. They changed at will. The three of them changed into sportswear and ran all the way to the field to play rock-paper-scissors game. The loser ran, but because the track and field girl exposed her legs, they quarreled for a while and immediately went back. The setting sun shone on the glass wall of the club building, turning it into pieces of gold. Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe, and Miki Kujo's shadows overlapped behind them, as if they were leaning their heads on each other's shoulders. When they returned to the human observation department, they changed back into their uniforms. The track pants were on the ground. That should be Miki. The sound of a pleated skirt zipping up. Who was that? Based on the distance of the sound, it should be Rin Kiyono. You can't blame me for eavesdropping. If you want to blame someone, blame it on my good hearing. I can even hear a cruise ship across the Pacific Ocean. Toru Watanabe found excuses for himself as he listened. The sound of clothes gradually disappeared. Rin Kiyono said, "Pervert eavesdropping at the door, come in." Not only could this guy read minds, but he also had X-ray vision. Tetsumasa Watanabe prepared to go in with such doubts. "Watanabe!" Someone shouted at him from the corridor. Toru Watanabe turned around. It was Keisuke Saito. He didn't go in. Instead, he leaned against the corridor window and waited for him to come over. "Why are you at the door?" Keisuke Saito asked when he was 3 or 4 meters away from him. "Stand as punishment." "Stand as punishment." Keisuke Saito showed a sympathetic expression, but it was actually a mocking one. "Why aren't you in the computer research department playing your girly games? What are you doing here? I have something good for you." Keisuke Saito took out a piece of paper. Girly games, teacher games, club games, girls with meat and girls without meat. Ah, looking for inspiration. Keisuke Saito put on an expression of entrusting the fate of mankind to Toru Watanabe and handed the paper to him. "I should have given you my game, but this thing is like a pillow. I can't let anyone touch it. So please buy it for me. When the game makes money, I'll give it to you together with the money for the script. Why didn't you just send it to me on the line?" Toru Watanabe asked. "In the classroom, doesn't Kujusen often take your phone? Who would dare to send you messages? I'm going back. You work hard on the script." After watching Keisuke Saito go downstairs, Toru Watanabe memorized all the game names. He opened the corridor window, aimed at the trash can in the atrium corridor, controlled his strength, and gently threw it out. What he thought was a foolproof plan was ruined by the first breeze of summer. The paper was too thin, and there was wind in the corridor where the trash can was, so the paper was blown to the ground. At this point, it was nothing. Aona Koizumi and Huangzi just happened to pass by. They were going to find Miyazaki Miyuki in the infirmary and go home together. The paper rolled to their feet. Aona Koizumi looked up at Toru Watanabe reproachfully and bent down to pick it up for him. At this point, it was nothing. Just as Aona Koizumi was about to throw the paper into the trash can, Huangzi beside her took it and unfolded the crumpled paper. The 2 young female teachers leaned their heads together and read the contents. Toru Watanabe tried to recall what was written on it. "After class, the tutoring of 18 female teachers are 18. Alright, that's enough. There's no need to recall it anymore." Huangzi looked up and smiled maliciously at Toru Watanabe. At the side, Aona Koizumi blushed. She seemed to want to destroy the paper, but Huangzi dodged. The sky gradually turned to dusk. Toru Watanabe closed the corridor window. The wind outside was a little cold. If he had known, he would have thrown the paper out of Kamigawa with all his might. Sometimes being too polite would ruin things. Toru Watanabe walked into the human observation department with an inexplicable feeling. If a student was caught playing a game with 18 categories, they would be scolded. But as a boyfriend, he didn't understand. "I thought you went to turn yourself in." Rin Kiyono said as she looked at the book in her hand. Turn myself in. You eavesdropped on us changing clothes. You didn't do anything for so long. Ah, that's true. Toru Watanabe's expression and tone made it seem like this incident happened 10 years ago. Watanabe, Miki Kujo, who was lying on the sofa, called out. Come and massage my legs. They hurt from walking. If you don't exercise, you'll end up like Kiyono sooner or later. Toru Watanabe walked over and sat on the sofa. After changing clothes, Miki Kujo didn't wear any pantyhose. Her bare legs were exposed. Toru Watanabe put her legs on his lap. She didn't know if he was taking advantage of her, or if he was massaging her. Miki Kujo's legs were soft and warm. Touching them made his heart itch. He couldn't resist the urge to kiss them. It wasn't just her beautiful legs. Her delicate face, her neck, her waist, her entire body was like this. Every day he wanted to hug her 3 times. Watanabe-san, pay attention to the way you speak. Rin Kiyono fiercely glared at him. Nonsense, you're scolding me. Tell me the truth, you're scolding me too? I think you just want to scold me, right? Rin Kiyono rubbed her chin, thought for a moment and replied. After hearing what you said, I'm not sure anymore. In the past, I scolded you for lying. No, I educated you. Now have you gotten used to it? You're asking me. Toru Watanabe asked back. Next time she scolds you, don't be polite. Scold her back. If something happens, this lady will support you. Miki Kujo lifted her leg and slapped Toru Watanabe's thigh. Watanabe-san, if you're pressured or threatened by Kujo-san, don't be polite. Fight back. I'll support you. Rin Kiyono retorted. Beautiful women are the best at lying. I won't fall for it. Chapter 267. Toru Watanabe grabbed the suspension with one hand, his body swaying along with the tram. When they arrived at the station, someone got off from the first carriage. He walked over and leaned against the glass window behind the driver. The view here was the best. In addition to the scenery outside the windows, he could also see the tracks in front of the window. Although the next stop was Shinano-cho. When he got off, the women around him instantly felt bored. The tram was just a tram. Chatting was just chatting, the inexplicable magic had disappeared. Leaving the platform, Toru Watanabe walked on the overpass full of bicycles when his phone rang. Hello? Where are we? Aona Koizumi asked. In room 501, 3 young female teachers were sitting around a hands-free mobile phone at a rectangular dining table filled with artistic vibes. Koizumi-sensei? The young man's voice came from the phone with a smile, very pleasant to listen to. The overpass at the station, we're almost there. The smile in his voice made Aona Koizumi's heart ripple with joy. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but smile because the person on the other side of the phone was her. Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki looked at each other. From Aona Koizumi's eyes, they noticed that she was completely immersed in the joy of talking to her lover. Do you want to come for dinner tonight? Aona Koizumi didn't pay attention to her best friend's expression and asked the phone. Eating is just a convenience. Teaching me a lesson is the main thing, right? Obviously there was nothing funny, but Aona Koizumi still burst out laughing and said, the main thing is to eat, and then teach you a lesson. Do you want to come? Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki's expression became even more disgusted. Before this phone call, the 3 of them had agreed to let Toru Watanabe know the dignity of a teacher. Now that Aona Koizumi looked happy, there was no hope. She was already like this on the phone. Now that they met, she didn't even pounce. Okay. Toru Watanabe smiled and replied. Later Huangzi-sensei will definitely give me a hard time. Koizumi-sensei, you have to protect me. Huangzi clenched his fists and grimaced. Aona Koizumi glanced at Huangzi and smiled as he spoke into the phone. Then you'll have to explain it properly so that I can help you. I'm your boyfriend and you're my girlfriend. Aren't you going to help me unconditionally? I'm going to be sad. Boyfriend, girlfriend. Aona Koizumi's face turned red all the way to her neck. Even if it was already the truth, admitting this relationship in front of others still made her so shy that she wanted to bury her face in her hands. Opposite her, Huangzi was no longer angry. Together with Miyazaki Miyuki, they stared at her teasingly. She was even mouthing the words. Is it your boyfriend who is calling? What boyfriend? Before you graduate, I will be your teacher. Dinner is ready, come over quickly. Aona Koizumi said sternly, and hung up the phone without waiting for Toru Watanabe to speak. I am a teacher. Huangzi angrily finished this sentence, and then sweetly said, Dinner is ready, come quickly. Ha ha ha. Miyazaki Miyuki laughed so hard that her chest shook, and beautiful creases appeared on her shirt. Aona Koizumi's face was red, but she didn't know how to refute. She simply left the dining table, and took out the rose she received today from her briefcase. She placed it in a slender glass vase. This vase was the same as Toru Watanabe's pen. They were both bought on Saturday and Sunday when they were traveling in Kamakura. Looking at this blue rose, Aona Koizumi recalled the 2 days she spent in Kamakura. She thought that even if she had a boyfriend, it would be the same as before. She would happily visit the attractions, eat all kinds of delicious food, and take beautiful photos. But ever since she drove on the highway, she began to miss Toru Watanabe. When she arrived in Kamakura, she wanted to know what he was doing. When she was eating, she wanted to call him to ask if he was eating on time and what he was eating. Every time she finished taking photos, she would want to send them to him as soon as possible if they were beautiful, fun, delicious, or novel. Before she went to bed at night, she wanted to hear his voice. The two of them had just gotten together, so they should be the ones traveling. But she couldn't do such a thing. She had already decided that before Toru Watanabe graduated, she needed to play the role of a strict teacher and make sure he finished his studies. Since that was the case, she couldn't act like she cared too much about relationships. Then again, during the 2 days she was away, Toru Watanabe didn't call her even once. He had a lot of fun chatting with his 2 girlfriends after class. The 3 of them had club activities in a secluded classroom. She didn't know what they were doing. She only had these roses because she wanted to give them to them. Aona Koizumi's shy and expectant mood immediately turned gloomy. Her heart was filled with faint jealousy and envy. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. She immediately walked over to open the door. Toru Watanabe's figure appeared in front of her. I ran back. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Be careful. The overpass isn't far from here. It won't take long to walk. Even so, Aona Koizumi still smiled. As long as she saw Toru Watanabe, she forgot all about the 2 days he hadn't called, the flirting with Kiyono and Kujo, and the roses. She took Toru Watanabe's bag and asked, Are you hungry? I wasn't hungry at first, but I was hungry after running back. It's just nice. Toru Watanabe changed into his slippers, which were bought by Aona Koizumi. The 2 of them walked into the living room, and saw Huangzi sitting there with her feet on the ground. She had the dignity of a teacher scolding a student in the classroom. She was thin and could be considered good-looking in the normal sense. Her sullen and stern face was enough to make students not dare to look at her. Teacher Huangzi, did you lose money? Or did the blind date fail? Toru Watanabe pretended not to know and sat down at the dining table. Lost. Humph. Huangzi snorted with an expression that said, You better explain it yourself. She was really going to scold Toru Watanabe like a student. So it's your period? Toru Watanabe said innocently, Remember to drink more hot water and keep warm. Okay, let's eat first. Aona Koizumi sat next to Toru Watanabe. Just help him. Huangzi picked up her bowl and ate 2 mouthfuls. Then she began to scold Toru Watanabe. What kind of games do you play? Sister? And those dirty people in the club? Not to mention the teacher series. Toru Watanabe knew why Huangzi didn't like him. She was just worried about Aona Koizumi's happiness and her good friend's future. In the eyes of ordinary people, Aona Koizumi's relationship was destined to be a tragedy. They even suspected that Toru Watanabe was willing to be with her only because of the vanity of having a female teacher as his girlfriend. Toru Watanabe would only be happy to have a good friend who cared about Aona Koizumi so much by her side. As for Huangzi's attitude towards him, he would use time to prove everything. He would always be with Aona Koizumi and treat her well. Koizumi-sensei, he said. What's wrong? Is it not delicious? Aona Koizumi asked. You're dressed very nicely today. I couldn't take my eyes off you in class. Aona Koizumi's beautiful face was calm. You have to listen carefully in class. Don't think about all kinds of nonsense all day. Okay, I won't in the future. Aona Koizumi's heart skipped a beat. Okay, that's right. Saying this, she felt a strong sense of regret. Was she really not going to look anymore? Wasn't it normal to stare at the teacher in class? Why did she say that? She could have said to look less. She didn't want to eat anymore. Her whole body was so weak. Should she dress up properly and wear nice clothes in the future? I really want to take the exam quickly. Toru Watanabe sighed. Aona Koizumi felt that tonight's dishes were delicious again. Today was May 7th. There were still 20 days before the exam. Since the results were out, they would only be able to hug once in early June. It was so long. If she had known earlier, she would have agreed to Toru Watanabe's request and hugged him 3 times. But in this case, the number one in the country would have to kiss. Aona Koizumi lowered her head and pretended to eat. Her face was red. She even thought just now, if Toru Watanabe put his tongue into my mouth, I would definitely be very angry and bite him. But it couldn't be too hard. It would be very painful if the tongue was bitten. If it was kissing, how would the tongue feel? What do you plan to do after graduating from university? Huangzi asked Toru Watanabe again. I'm not sure. I'll probably be an idle son-in-law. Live-in son-in-law. Then what about Aonai? Even if she can support herself, as a man, don't you plan to do anything for her? Toru Watanabe looked at Aona Koizumi. She lowered her head and didn't eat anything. She only ate the rice in her bowl. Like what Huangzi said, was she worried about the future? After all, she was a woman. Even if she was slightly older, she still longed for a sense of security from her boyfriend. How about this? Toru Watanabe put down his chopsticks and sat upright. I'll buy this apartment and give it to Koizumi-sensei. Then I'll give her 500 million yen. How much? Huangzi opened her mouth. The strict female teacher just now disappeared and became an ordinary young woman. Miyazaki Miyuki also looked at Toru Watanabe in surprise. Toru Watanabe ignored the two of them and turned to Aona Koizumi. Koizumi-sensei, what do you think? No, you're still a student. Aona Koizumi's reaction was very intense. Toru Watanabe thought he did something wrong. But when he saw her rosy oval face and slightly watery eyes, he immediately understood. He could barely be considered a practical and theoretical expert. Then we'll talk about it later. Wait until I graduate. He picked up his chopsticks again and ate dinner. The so-called house and savings were just to make them feel at ease and reduce their worries about the future. For Toru Watanabe himself, it didn't make any difference whether he gave them the money or not. He didn't need to use money to prove how much he loved them and prove his determination to be together forever. He couldn't let them leave him. After dinner, Toru Watanabe helped dry the dishes and returned to his apartment. Aonai. Huangzi grabbed Aona Koizumi's shoulder. Do you know what you're talking about? What did I say? Aona Koizumi was shocked. Did she accidentally say what she was thinking? That's 500 million, and this house. With these, we can immediately realize wealth and freedom. We don't have to worry about saving money anymore. We don't have to travel on a budget anymore. The next time we go to Kyoto, we can stay in the big house by Kamigawa, and not squeeze into the guest house. As she spoke, she shook her head. Aona Koizumi didn't understand what Huangzi was saying. She was even more dizzy when she shook her head. She grabbed Huangzi's agitated arm. What are you talking about? Aonai, what are you thinking? Miyazaki Miyuki sighed. I know you might be embarrassed and think that you shouldn't accept these when you're in a serious relationship. But as a safeguard for the future, it's not a bad idea to accept it first. In the future, as long as the other party doesn't betray you or have a child, even if you break up, you can return it to him. Aona Koizumi was even more confused. Child. Who and who? Miyazaki Miyuki continued. Have you done it with him? Do it. Do what? Aona Koizumi asked doubtfully. A man and a woman, and they're even a couple. What else can they do? Miyuki, what nonsense are you talking about? How can a teacher do that kind of thing with a student? Aona Koizumi's face was red. Aonai has always been with us. How could she have the time? Huang Zi's face was still full of regret about losing wealth and freedom. That's right. No. It doesn't matter if I have the time or not. Before graduation, I definitely won't do that kind of thing with Watanabe. I'm just asking. It doesn't matter if you don't do it. Miyazaki Miyuki waved her hand, telling her to control her emotions. But other than you, he has a girlfriend and 2 lovers. You're the only one who doesn't do it. Is this really okay? A man's passion is shorter than a drug's shelf life. Watanabe and I are truly in love. He's not that kind of person. Aona Koizumi said with certainty. This is between the 2 of you. I'm just giving you my opinion from a male's physiological point of view. Physiological point of view. Huang Zi, who clearly had nothing to do with it, was curious. It's nothing profound. To put it simply, young Watanabe spends most of his time thinking about women 24 hours a day. Aona Koizumi. What about women? Huang Zi asked again. Miyazaki Miyuki glanced at her. Most women think about it whenever you think about it. Huang Zi's young and beautiful face flushed red. I've never thought about it. Then you'll have to go to the hospital. I think about it once in a while. Huang Zi said vaguely. Most women don't think about it. Looks like you'll have to go to the hospital. Are you kidding me? Being a doctor and a teacher is a profession that can't speak carelessly. Think carefully before you speak. Aonai, how often do you think about it? Me? It was noisy. The 3 of them still had to go to work tomorrow. After washing up, they returned to their room early and prepared to sleep. Aona Koizumi hid under the quilt and used her phone to search for, how often does a 16-year-old teenager do it? When does a couple usually have sex after dating? The future of couples who don't have sex, and so on. Finally, she searched for how to help her boyfriend vent his troubles. The knowledge made her cover her face with the quilt and not poke her head out for a long time. Finally, she couldn't stand the heat and came out while panting. Do you want to help Watanabe do those things? No. Aona Koizumi shook her head vigorously. I'm a teacher. I said I can't have intimate contact with him before graduation. Just as she made up her mind, she turned her head and thought again. There are still 2 years before graduation. In such a long time, Watanabe and the other 3 do those things. Will he be cold to me? Watanabe isn't that kind of person. But he's still a young man after all. He thinks about these things every day. Aona Koizumi suddenly recalled that day when Toru Watanabe hugged her from behind. The warmth of their bodies touching and the heat of his but pressed against hers. She buried her face in the pillow. She kept feeling that there was a desire deep in her heart. Could this be the woman's desire that Miyuki mentioned? Aona Koizumi was like a little girl, kicking her legs with all her might. She didn't kick for long. She was tired. If, and I'm saying if, Watanabe asks me for it, I can reluctantly give him some small comfort. Chapter 268. The leaves of the beech trees in the atrium sprouted, and the streets of Shinjuku welcomed the banquet of early summer. Toru Watanabe began to prepare for the anniversary of their relationship. Traveling. I don't have time. Nothing can be done without time. This is the first anniversary of our relationship. Miki, can't you take a day off for the sake of love? Miki Kujo's lips curled into a contemptuous smile as her charming eyes stared at Toru Watanabe. Because of the matter of submitting her novel, she was also sitting at the beach table, facing Rin Kiyono. From the evening of the 28th to noon on the 30th, she said. I can only travel within the country for 1 day. A map of Japan appeared in Toru Watanabe's mind. The southernmost point was Kyushu and Okinawa. A little further north was Shikoku. Further north was Wakayama, Nara, Osaka, Kyoto. Just a tour? Miki Kujo asked with a smile. Of course not. I'll look forward to the follow-up. I definitely won't disappoint you. In fact, he hadn't thought about it at all. Miki Kujo saw through it, but she didn't say anything. At that time, if she was not satisfied, you're only preparing at the last moment. I see that you don't care about me at all. Tell me I love you 10,000 times. This sentence had already been prepared. Toru Watanabe came back to his senses. He had never been to Shikoku or Wakayama. He didn't know what places were worth visiting, so he was just there to review the geography. Kiyono-san, do you know where it's fun? He looked at the well-read girl by the window. Rin Kiyono stopped writing and rested his chin on his hand as he looked out of the window. With his other hand, he picked up a strand of hair that was hanging in front of his chest and played with it. The sadness of a literary girl hit him in the face. What are you doing? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. Sigh. Rin Kiyono's sad yet beautiful sigh overshadowed the roses by the window. Her every move and action affected people's hearts. Unfortunately, her beautiful appearance could only be seen by flowers. The three people in this activity classroom had long been accustomed to each other. Last year on this day, when Rin Kiyono got too close to him, Toru Watanabe's heart would beat faster. As for Miki Kujo, he was so addicted to the imperial tea that he forgot about it. Even heroes have a weakness for beauties. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being a hero. As for the two beautiful girls, they also turned a blind eye to Toru Watanabe, who was firmly at the top of the pyramid in Kamigawa. You can't write a novel? Toru Watanabe asked again. Rin Kiyono played with her beautiful hair. Koen Watanabe. Wait, what are you doing? Toru Watanabe felt a chill in his heart. Don't you think you're being too cruel? Cruel. You and Kujo-sen went on a trip, and you still asked me where it was fun. You're too heartless and hurt my young girl's heart. Rin Kiyono acted as if she had been abandoned. What's wrong with you now? Miki Kujo frowned as she stared at the literary girl. Rin Kiyono smiled. Her sadness was swept away, and she regained her previous confidence and pride. Let Watanabe-san love me more. Her tone was elegant, and her voice was cold and pleasant to the ear. Even if I can't, at least let him think of me from time to time when you're traveling with him. Toru Watanabe has a girlfriend. What you're doing will only make him hate you. Miki Kujo sneered. Don't use ordinary people's morals to restrain me. In this school, I only care about Watanabe-san's opinion of me. Then Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe with a smile. Watanabe-san, do you hate what I'm doing? North of Kyoto is Toyama Prefecture. I heard that it often snows there, so the women's skin is as white as snow. No, there's another prefecture between Kyoto and Toyama Prefecture. What's it called? Fukui Prefecture. Rin Kiyono hinted. That's it. Toru Watanabe nodded. Kiyono-san's geography is better than mine. But there's nothing fun in Fukui Prefecture. Miki, can you just cross out this place? Miki Kujo narrowed her charming eyes and sized him up. Avoiding the question was equivalent to admitting that he didn't hate her. If he just avoided the question, she would be angry. But Toru Watanabe didn't answer, and instead thought about the place where they were traveling. Even if she scolded him, he would have an excuse to quibble. He didn't offend either side and was slightly biased towards her. Did this man think that she didn't know what he was thinking? After chatting for a while, the three of them continued to think about how to write the novel with a bonus of 200,000 yen. They didn't care about the bonus. Rin Kiyono's spending wasn't clear. When Miki Kujo and Toru Watanabe went shopping, they bought several million yen worth of accessories as if they were buying ice cream. The crux of the matter was that the person with the lowest ranking had to wear a maid's uniform and pour tea for the other two. Even Toru Watanabe, who didn't care about his reputation, didn't want to fall to that point. It would definitely become a black mark in his life, and he would be laughed at by the other two in his later years. If he was like this, then what about the two arrogant young ladies? Being arrogant wasn't an exaggeration. The two of them were indeed like this, not good people. After school, they ate dinner at the female teacher's house. Koizumi-sensei, you often travel. Do you have any good places to recommend? Toru Watanabe asked while eating. What? You want to go out with Aonai? Miki Miyazaki asked. We can't go out on a date. What if someone sees us? Aona Koizumi said. Then the two of us can go too. We'll cover for you. Huangzi thought of an idea. If someone sees us, they'll say that Watanabe is too pitiful to be alone in Tokyo, so the teachers will bring him out to play. Although she didn't say anything, Aona Koizumi eagerly waited for Toru Watanabe's answer. The atmosphere at the dining table was filled with anticipation. The three female teachers were like high school students who were going on a study trip tomorrow. In the end, Toru Watanabe decided to tell the truth. I'm going with Miki. The 29th is our one-year anniversary. The happy atmosphere instantly disappeared. Let's eat. Huangzi's tone was flat. After dinner, Huangzi and Miki Miyazaki washed the dishes. Toru Watanabe and Aona Koizumi sat at the dining table. Sensei. Aona Koizumi, who was handling the work, responded. Judging from her tone, it didn't seem any different than usual. In fact, it was even gentler. I'm sorry, Toru Watanabe said. It's our one-year anniversary. Why do you need to apologize for taking your girlfriend out to play? She took out a form and copied something on it. Toru Watanabe looked at her. He could have just agreed to go out with Aona Koizumi when he had the chance. But at that moment he thought of that god girl. He could go out to play at any time. Was there a need to lie and say that he originally planned to go with her? Lying to the person he liked, the person who liked him? I don't want to lie to you, he said. Aona Koizumi's pen paused for a moment before she lowered her head and continued copying. In any case, you only asked me to be your girlfriend because you were touched. You never liked me and didn't want to go on a date with me. I can understand if Kujo found out. After saying this, Aona Koizumi felt bitter in her heart. The paper was wet, and tears flowed down on its own. Last night, Miyazaki Miyuki had only said a few simple words. She had been fantasizing about sharing the pressure of puberty with Toru Watanabe in the future. So she hadn't slept well the entire night. Today, because of a small matter, she cried. She hadn't cried in 10 years. Ever since May 2nd. This was the second time she had cried. It's hard to change people. Toru Watanabe's voice was gentle. Sensei, you've clearly forgotten that 1 month, but you still worked hard for 10 years to come to Kamigawa just to see me. I'm dating you not because I love you, but mostly because I was touched. I felt that I couldn't let these 10 years go to waste. Aona Koizumi's tears flowed down even more. She couldn't see the form clearly. She wiped her eyes with her hand, and more tears flowed out from her eyes. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't like you. Liking someone doesn't require many touching reasons. Sensei, you're gentle, you treat me well, and you're beautiful. I like you, but I restrain myself from thinking about you occasionally. Aona Koizumi didn't say a word. Miki, my senpai sensei, I like Miki the most. But please believe me. Even if Miki finds out, I won't separate from you. And I won't allow you to leave me. Miki and Kiyono are selfish. If they like someone, they want happiness, so they have to fight for it no matter what. Toru Watanabe looked at the roses on the table. Today it was Diana. The pink petals. 10 years ago, you said that I was gentle, but I'm actually the same as them. We're all selfish. Toru Watanabe looked away from the roses and looked at the silent Aona Koizumi. After looking at her quietly for a while, he stood up and walked behind her. He wrapped his arms around her slender shoulders. He spoke softly but firmly in her ear. Aona Koizumi agreed to be my girlfriend, and I hugged her before. No matter what she thinks, whether she likes me or hates me, she has to belong to me for the rest of her life. I'm just that selfish. Aona Koizumi was hugged by Toru Watanabe. Hearing his words, her sad mood instantly turned sweet. Even though she was in the arms of a student, she still wanted to maintain her dignity as a teacher. Anyways, you can get into Tokyo University just by casually studying. You're the same type of person. I'm not. She spoke with a sobbing tone. She blushed. You're right about getting into Tokyo University. You don't need to work too hard. Aona Koizumi struggled to get out of Toru Watanabe's arms. Watanabe-sen, what are you doing? Let go of sensei. She reprimanded him in a low voice. Toru Watanabe used a bit of force and pressed her back into his arms. Sensei Aonai. The two of them looked at the pink roses on the table. You can cry or laugh, but this life will end like this. You can only be in my arms. After a short silence, Aona Koizumi muttered to herself. You won't date for the rest of your life? If you want to, we can go now. Watch a movie, go to the park hand in hand, buy a ticket to Kamakura for a night, and come back early tomorrow morning. Really? Yes, but we can't let Miki find out. I can't do anything to her, Toru Watanabe said with a bit of helplessness and warmth. You really like her more? Of course, didn't I say that I like her the most out of the three of you? Aona Koizumi began to struggle again. She tried to take away Toru Watanabe's arms. Because I don't want to lie to sensei. Toru Watanabe hugged her even tighter. Their cheeks were slightly sunken because of the pressure. I'm dating you because I'm touched, so I don't want to lie to you. I like you in my heart, so I don't want to lie to you. I can't let Miki find out, so I don't want to lie to you. Even if she finds out, I won't leave you, so I don't want to lie to you. I'm proud of your identity as a teacher, so I don't want to lie to you. I want to do many things with you that you won't allow, so I don't want to lie to you. Aona Koizumi stopped moving. She leaned into Toru Watanabe's arms and felt his strong heartbeat. Really? Her girlish tone reminded Toru Watanabe of her from 10 years ago. The Aona Koizumi who cried in front of fireflies. Toru Watanabe separated from her face and stroked her face with his hand. Face to face, he kissed her lips that were dry from crying. Before their lips touched, Aona Koizumi held Toru Watanabe's chin and raised his face too high. Before you graduate, physical contact is forbidden. Teacher Koizumi, you don't know this, but for young people nowadays, kissing isn't considered physical contact. It's a sign of intimacy. As he spoke, Toru Watanabe's lips moved closer. Aona Koizumi covered her mouth with her hands like a mask. Toru Watanabe kissed the back of her hand. Their bangs blended together. Aona Koizumi's hair tickled Toru Watanabe's forehead. Toru Watanabe's nose pressed against hers. Yes, 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 yes. Aona Koizumi said something while wearing a mask. What did you say? Toru Watanabe left. Phew. Letting go of her hand, Aona Koizumi panted lightly. You're still saying that you're not lying to me. How can kissing not be counted as Seeing Toru Watanabe's face coming closer, Aona Koizumi covered her mouth again in a panic. But Toru Watanabe wasn't going to kiss her. He just bent down so that their eyes were on the same level. Teacher. He rubbed Aona Koizumi's thick black hair. I like you. She could still feel the warmth of his palm through her hair. Aona Koizumi's eyes that had stopped crying became watery again because of shyness, happiness, and surprise. After 2 seconds of silence, she pushed Toru Watanabe away and stood up. It's late, go take a shower and sleep. You can't be late in the morning, you know. She pushed Toru Watanabe to the entrance. After he left, she covered her face with her hands. She jumped and twisted her body. She threw herself on the sofa and hugged the pillow tightly. Aona Koizumi promised to be my girlfriend and was hugged by me. No matter what she thinks, whether she likes me or hates me, she must belong to me for the rest of her life. She buried her face in the pillow and her voice became muffled. She rolled to the right. Teacher, I like you. She rolled to the left. Separated by their palms, the two kissed. She turned around and lay on the sofa, kicking her legs hard. Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki came out of the kitchen and saw Aona Koizumi like this. Huangzi quietly took out his phone and opened the camera. Toru Watanabe returned to room 502 but didn't take a shower. He walked to the balcony and looked at the outer court of the shrine in the night. In the dark forest, the shrine stadium was brightly lit. After enjoying the night breeze, he took out his phone and called Rin Kiyono. What's up? A cold voice and the sound of a towel drying her hair. Just finished showering? Unfortunately, I should have gone in to shower just now. Maybe I would have met you and wiped our backs. I'm hanging up. Wait, I have good news to report to you. Not going on the trip? Toru Watanabe turned around and casually leaned against the balcony. This is good news for you. Miki Kujo's bad news is my good news. What if something happens to me? I'm hanging up. I was wrong, really wrong. Goddess Kiyono, please forgive your believer. Toru Watanabe's posture was still relaxed, and his voice carried a smile. Just a sentence. How about 2 sentences? Beep, beep, beep. Kiyono was a woman of her words. Toru Watanabe smiled and sent a message to her. Kiyono, I want to slowly become an honest person. The message was read, but there was no reply. Toru Watanabe threw his phone on the table and took his clothes to shower. If he was fast, he might be able to smell Rin Kiyono's fragrance from the Shiya Station high-class apartment. At the same time, the phone on the table lit up silently. A message popped up on the screen of Miki Kujo's kimono. It's good news. Chapter 269. It's a bit late to say it now, or maybe it's not necessary. Kamigawa is located on a high ground in the Four Valleys. It covers a large area and has a very good view. On the steep slope leading to the high ground, there are cherry trees and camphor trees. This morning, on this steep slope, Toru Watanabe didn't know how many times he met Rin Kiyono. The two of them didn't even greet each other, only occasionally speaking a few words. What happened yesterday? Rin Kiyono asked. Why do you say that? You suddenly said that you want to be an honest person. Did you also go to the future? You can even guess that. Toru Watanabe applauded in admiration. Last night when I went to sleep, I suddenly saw your body in the future. It's so troublesome for a woman to go to the bathroom. Even the sentence, Kiyono, I want to slowly become an honest person, is a lie. I expected nothing from you. A joke is not a lie. I insist on this point, and I said slowly become. What happened? Rin Kiyono said in a flat tone. Toru Watanabe told her what happened last night. On both sides of the road, the bright green cherry trees and beech trees gently swayed with the south wind. From time to time, students riding bicycles passed them. The baseball team, with a slogan, lined up in a row for a morning run. The 2 female high school students in front of them were talking about idol groups. They met at the basketball tournament. It was a sunny morning. Miki and Kiyono are selfish? Rin Kiyono's beautiful black hair was gently blown by the south wind. Appropriate? Toru Watanabe was slightly proud. There is no word more appropriate than this. Serigo Rin's reaction was cold, so she changed the topic. No matter what Aona Koizumi thinks, she must belong to you in this life. Is this your insistence on them? Yes. In Tokyo for a year, you have 1 girlfriend and 2 lovers. When you graduate from college, are you going to buy the apartment you live in now? Although I don't want to, no one can be sure about the future. Is that so? So. Toru Watanabe turned to look at her adorable little face. I want to promise you that this will never happen again. What if it happens? Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. He just smiled at Rin Kiyono. The young man's smile was like an irresistible preference for the person he liked. Rin Kiyono glanced at him, and the 2 of them looked at each other on top of the Four Valley Hills. Climbing up the hill, Aona Koizumi was on duty at the school gate. She was wearing a cardigan and a long skirt, looking gentle and beautiful. 4 or 5 girls who used to be in grade 1, class 4 but were not assigned to grade 2, surrounded her. Good morning, Sensei Koizumi. Toru Watanabe greeted him as he passed by. Good morning. Seeing Rin Kiyono beside Toru Watanabe, Aona Koizumi was so ashamed that she couldn't say anything. Koen Watanabe, good morning. The girls surrounding Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe excitedly. Good morning. After entering the school gate, they saw a huge oak tree. When Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono walked under the tree, the entire sky seemed to be covered by dense green leaves. They went around the oak tree from the left, and the corridor that was split into 2 by the tree converged, leading straight to the courtyard. On both sides of the courtyard filled with flowers and plants were the teaching building and the club building. Between the buildings was an elevated corridor. As they walked towards the teaching building, Rin Kiyono spoke again. It's about time you learn self-discipline. Don't just give in to a woman because you can't leave her. You're talking about being soft-hearted, right? If you're talking about self-discipline, do you know how many meters 1 circle around the outer court of the shrine is? I'm talking about physical self-discipline. I'm also very self-disciplined in this aspect. Is that so? By the way, One circle around the outer court of the shrine is 1,320 meters. How do you know? Rin Kiyono opened her Japanese school bag and took out a book with a cover. Toru Watanabe saw that she had been reading for a long time. She turned to a certain page. January 4th, moving house. First morning run in the outer court of the shrine. One circle is 1,320 meters. Parenthesis, show off to Rin Kiyono. It turned out that she wasn't reading a book these days, but someone's notes. Also, one circle around the Kokyo is about 5 kilometers. She waved the notes. It's also written here. Toru Watanabe reached out to her. Rin Kiyono looked at him with her eyes that were as clear as the winter sky. Toru Watanabe pointed at the notes in her hand, and then pointed at himself, meaning, "Are you done reading? Can you give it back to me?" Like a child who took away his game console. Rin Kiyono looked at the diary in her hand and put it back into her school bag. "Sorry, I didn't consider the feelings of the person involved. I shouldn't have taken it out in such a place." She zipped up her school bag. With the sound of the zipper, the diary disappeared from its owner's sight. "Goodbye. Remember to open the window. Your girlfriend eats in there all day. It's full of the smell of food." Toru Watanabe went to the club's classroom to put roses. In today's class, the three of them continued to write the notes that Toru Watanabe secretly named Records of the Human Observation Department. "Your lips are qualified to be compared with mine, Kujo. Indeed, I can't compare with you in terms of ugliness, Kiyono. You know that you're ugly, so you're not hopeless, Kujo. I really admire your self-deception. I can't lie to myself about the fact that only your chest is inferior to mine, Kiyono. You're quite optimistic. Apart from your legs being as good-looking as mine, you actually think there's something else that can compare with mine, Kujo. You're arguing back and forth verbally. Why don't you just compete? I'm willing to provide my opinion from a male perspective, Watanabe. I'm fine with it, Kujo. Kujo-san, please kick him for me, thank you, Kiyono. Go by yourself, Kujo. I'm not that vulgar. Only you can kick someone, Kiyono. After class, Miki Kujo pinched Rin Kiyono's little face and said in a bullying tone, "Only I can do it?" Since she couldn't beat her, Rin Kiyono could only coldly turn her face away. Everyone in the classroom was dumbfounded as they watched this scene. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono sympathetically. He gave her medicine, held activities on Saturday and Sunday, and took her to exercise under the guise of going for walks. But she only exercised these 2 days a week. Although Miki Kujo also didn't exercise, her physical strength was high, and because it was easier to administer medicine, she ate more. Kiyono-san, you should change in the future. Toru Watanabe sighed and advised. Change what? Rin Kiyono felt like she had lost face. Her voice was so cold that it felt like it would snow in Tokyo in May. Either you stop being lazy and work hard, or you stop being provocative. You mean you want me to admit defeat to her? Rin Kiyono stared at Toru Watanabe. Don't stare at me. Stare at her. Stare at her. Toru Watanabe pointed at the winner, Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo gave him a kick. Toru Watanabe hooked her foot with his and continued. Also, I want you to stop being provocative, not admit defeat. For example, your grades, serious sports, and this essay competition. The winner and loser are obvious. If you want to see who's better looking, let the whole country vote 1,000 times. 499 times you look better. 499 times Miki looks better. What about the other 2 times? Miki Kujo asked lazily. I'm so handsome, winning twice out of 1,000 times is reasonable. Rin Kiyono couldn't stand looking at him. Miki Kujo collapsed on the desk laughing, her laughter tugging at people's heartstrings. You too, do you want to fight? Days like this passed quickly, and soon it was Friday. After school, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono took Miki Kujo's luxury car to Kiyono's mansion. The light of the early summer sunset made the palace shine brightly. Passing through the high-domed living room, the three of them arrived at the backyard. There was a wide lawn, green pine and cypress trees, rose vines crawling all over the fence, and a blue marble swimming pool. This beautiful and magnificent building faced Tokyo Bay, overlooking the port area. The three of them walked through the garden, past the white dining table in the garden, and came to the fence. The two rich ladies were here. This rose has a strong fragrance, and this one has a bright color. The English blue rose here has large petals, beautiful flowers, and blooms all year round. Kiyono's mother introduced the rose to Kujo's mother. Compared to the blue rose, I prefer the dark red rose. Kujo's mother said. Mother. Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo greeted. Toru Watanabe greeted his aunt. The two rich ladies turned around and looked at the three of them. Kujo's mother glanced at Toru Watanabe, then smiled at Kiyono's mother and said, "The last time Kun Watanabe slept at my place, he picked the May rose I used for bathing and gave it to Miki, saying something about smelling my bathwater. Is that so?" The two of them laughed like young girls. I didn't know that. Rin Kiyono turned around and looked at Toru Watanabe. Does the bathwater smell good? Yes, of course it smells good. The fragrance of the May rose. Toru Watanabe said. Kun Watanabe. Kiyono's mother smiled and said, "Next time smell my bathwater and see what it smells like." Auntie, Mama's going to get angry. Toru Watanabe glanced at Rin Kiyono and asked her for help. Kun Watanabe, Mama's talking to you. Kiyono's mother put one hand on her waist and assumed the posture of a mother. Mom, you're so young and innocent. I don't need to smell it to know that you're using jasmine. Jasmine as white as snow. The flower shape is beautiful but not ostentatious. It's elegant and noble. It's the most suitable for you. Miki, my adopted son, is full of flowery words. You have to be careful not to be fooled. Kiyono's mother laughed and scolded. Isn't it great to be lied to? Women should only listen to others' approval. Only then can they become beautiful and confident. Jiutiandi's mother said. To understand everything and only pursue the truth, how boring is that? Then, she said to Toru Watanabe, who wanted to escape from the bottom of his heart. Kun Watanabe, your adoptive mother doesn't like to hear it. Tell it to me, your biological mother. Toru Watanabe pulled the collars on both sides of his suit. With his back facing the setting sun on Tokyo Bay, he said to Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono, "My two sisters, I'm sorry. I'm the only one who can inherit the Kujo's and Kiyono's families." The two sisters rolled their eyes at Brother Watanabe. The two ladies smiled beautifully. Their charm overshadowed the courtyard full of flowers. The five of them sat down in the garden and enjoyed the exquisite dinner served by the servants. It was a warm evening with a gentle breeze. The waters of the Gulf of Tokyo rippled, and every wave carried gold bricks. During this time, Kujo's mother whispered to Toru Watanabe about the purpose of this dinner, to ease the relationship between the two young ladies. Amidst the fragrance of the kiss goodbye flowers, the beautiful woman leaned over. The handsome Toru Watanabe listened attentively. Outsiders who didn't know the relationship between the two would subconsciously think that they were a couple whispering to each other. How have you been recently? Kujo's mother wasn't concerned about Toru Watanabe's health. I took the lead in doing some things. Our relationship seems to have improved a little, Toru Watanabe replied. Rock, paper, scissors, text, etc. Oh, as expected of Miki's mother, her simple syllables were able to move people's hearts. Today Miki pinched Kiyono's face, although it was a fight. Toru Watanabe explained in a low voice. What are you two whispering about? Kiyono's mother said with a smile. Let's hear it. Kujo's mother sat up straight and said with a smile. Kun Watanabe, what are we talking about? You're asking me? Kujo's mother tilted her head and looked at him. Her behavior and expression were no different from a high school girl in Kamigawa, but with a mature charm. Tell me. Miki Kujo was expressionless. I'm curious too. Rin Kiyono said gently. Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to speak when Kujo's mother leaned over with the fragrance of May roses. Her affectionate lips were close to Toru Watanabe's ear, but she covered it with her wrinkle-free hand. She looked at the other three as if she was afraid that they would eavesdrop. Don't tell anyone. Although they know the purpose of this dinner, they won't come if you tell them. After she finished speaking, Toru Watanabe leaned over to her ear. Miki and I are going on a trip at the end of the month to commemorate our one-year anniversary. Where do you think we should go? Kujo's mother shrank into her shoulders as if she was afraid of being tickled. She looked so delicate and shy. This made Toru Watanabe wonder if the person he saw for the first time, who was wearing a gorgeous kimono and sitting in a dignified and noble manner, was a substitute. After the two of them finished talking, Toru Watanabe said to the other three, "Mickey and I are going on a trip at the end of the month. Just now I asked Kujo, 'Mom, where is fun?'" Kujo's mother looked at Rin Kiyono, who could see through lies, and suddenly burst into laughter. Kun Watanabe. She couldn't stop smiling. "Mom likes you very much." "Mom, I like you very much too." Lies. Rin Kiyono wiped the corner of her mouth with a white napkin. Toru Watanabe confessed. "Okay, I like Mickey." Seriously, Rin is such a killjoy. Kujo's mother didn't care at all. Kun Watanabe, it's okay. Mom believes everything you say. Toru Watanabe looked at his girlfriend for help. "Mom." Mickey, Kujo shouted coldly. "Oh, okay. Mickey is jealous." Kujo's mother finally finished her act. "Traveling? That's great." Kiyono's mother said, "Speaking of which, I went on a trip this year. How about this, let's go together?" Huh? Toru Watanabe was stunned. "Can I, Kun Watanabe?" Kiyono's mother leaned over and pressed her shoulder against Toru Watanabe's. A faint fragrance surrounded them. "Help." Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono in despair. Rin Kiyono took a sip of her orange juice and looked at the rippling waters of the bay. Toru Watanabe looked at Kujo's mother. Kujo's mother looked at Rin Kiyono and then looked at her daughter. "Very good. The five of us will go together," she said with a smile. "Then it's decided." Kiyono's mother clapped her hands. "The two of us will decide the location. The arrangements will be smooth. You three children can focus on your studies." Under the table, Miki Kujo kicked Toru Watanabe with all her might. On the way back, she crossed her legs and arms and asked Toru Watanabe, "Why didn't you directly refuse? She's Kiyono's mother." "What? You want to go to their house?" she sneered. "She's Kiyono's mother. I've only seen her a few times. How could I refuse? If it were our mothers, I'd say no, Mickey and I need some alone time. Do you understand what I mean? If we don't have a good relationship, I'd be embarrassed to refuse." After saying that, Toru Watanabe complained again. "Your mother is the same. Why did she agree?" Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes and thought of something. Then she laughed. "That's good too. Let's let them see how intimate we are during this trip. Isn't it the anniversary of our relationship? Why does Toru Watanabe feel like it's the anniversary of his death?" Chapter 271. A Good Place. Toru Watanabe's eyes were slightly puzzled. "A good place?" Kujo's mother said with a smile. Kiyono's mother also looked at Toru Watanabe, keeping him in suspense. Toru Watanabe laughed. "What kind of good place is it? Do you want to keep it a secret?" "No, I'm just teasing you." Kiyono's mother smiled like a young girl. "We're going to mountain climbing and camping." Helping each other up the mountain, camping and pitching tents together. The two ladies are working together to ease the tension? No wonder you're the best in the country. Kujo's mother praised. "Not all the best in the country are as smart as me," Toru Watanabe said wittily. "Is it okay to go mountain climbing? It's better to travel to a safe place." Toru Watanabe was thinking about the imperial tea last May. If he didn't go at that time, he didn't know whether Miki Kujo would be safe or not. In order to ease the tension between Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo, the two ladies probably wouldn't bring their subordinates. "You'll protect us, right? I heard that you're very good in all aspects." Kujo's mother teased him in a joking tone. "Good son, let me ask you a question," Kiyono's mother said. "If the four of us are in danger, who will you protect first?" Of course it's the two mothers. Do you even need to ask? Miki isn't here, so you're saying that, right? "Ah, that's true," Toru Watanabe admitted with a smile. The two mothers were amused, and their smiles were like jasmine in the morning and red roses in the evening. "Don't worry about safety," Kujo's mother said. The mountain has been sealed off in the name of protection. As expected of the Kujo family, Toru Watanabe praised. It's our family, Kuin Watanabe, Kiyono's mother said unhappily. Mom, we are family. Of course, we have to flatter the Kujo family. Toru Watanabe spoke in Kiyono's tone. Hey Kujo Toru, what are you talking about? Kujo's mother did not have the demeanor of a rich man's wife. She was like an unruly 17 or 18-year-old girl. Kiyono's mother laughed so hard that she covered her mouth with her napkin. As she laughed, she suddenly thought of something and gently clapped her hands together. This is a rare opportunity. Let's go buy hiking clothes, camping supplies, and swimsuits. There's a stream on the mountain. Call Mickey and Lin. Kujo's mother understood. That's exactly what I meant. Kiyono's mother nodded. Toru Watanabe really didn't let go of any opportunity. He continued to eat the pasta with his fork. Kujo's mother took out her phone and called her daughter. Mickey, come out and accompany Mom and Auntie Kiyono shopping. I'm busy. I'm working. Don't be so cold. We are preparing for the trip at the end of the month. Kuin Watanabe is there too. Watanabe? Why is he with you? Miki Kujo's voice turned cold. She was jealous of her own mother. Other than being jealous, it also had something to do with Mrs. Kujo's young appearance. We went on a date today. Kujo's mother smiled and looked at Toru Watanabe, who almost choked. We watched a concert and ate Italian food. Put him on the phone. Kuin Watanabe here. Kujo's mother handed over the phone. Mickey, what's wrong with you? She reprimanded him. Go home right now. Toru Watanabe looked at Kujo and Kiyono sitting opposite him. One of them was drinking red wine happily, while the other was resting her chin on her hand. The former was saying, "Don't let me down." The latter was saying, "I believe in you." He took a deep breath. Your mom is staring at me. Pfft. This was probably the first time Mrs. Kujo lost her composure. Cough, cough, cough. She wiped the wine from the corner of her mouth with a napkin. Because of the discomfort, her slightly delicate eyes were slightly red. Kiyono's mother patted Mrs. Kujo's back and laughed. That's interesting. Kuin Watanabe is really interesting. Did you hear that, Mickey? Your mother choked. Come and save me. If you're late, I won't be able to see your boyfriend. The address is the Italian restaurant opposite the Akamatsu Dental Hospital of Tokyo University. You're causing me trouble. Her tone was harsh, but there was a hint of laughter. Miki Kujo hung up. Mother, I did not disappoint you. Toru Watanabe returned the phone to Mrs. Kujo. Mrs. Kujo patted her chest that was as perky as a young girl's. You almost died, you unfilial son. Yes, I'm sorry. Toru Watanabe continued eating his pasta. Mrs. Kiyono also called her daughter. Ling, yes. Are you free today? I'm reading. Are you going shopping with your mom? I don't feel like going out. Mickey is here. I'm hanging up. Kuin Watanabe is here too. Is that so? I'm mainly shopping for travel items and swimsuits. It's better to buy some things myself. Address? Mrs. Kiyono told her the address that Toru Watanabe had just given her. Then she put down the phone and gestured an okay. Why did you mention Kuin Watanabe? Mrs. Kujo asked. Kuin Watanabe is Ling's friend. With a friend around, the chances of coming out are higher. After saying that innocently, Mrs. Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe. Isn't that right, Kuin Watanabe? Toru Watanabe looked at Mrs. Kujo. Mom, isn't that right? Now you remember your mom. Mrs. Kujo said grumpily. You'll always be my mom. They cleared the plates and ordered some snacks. The three of them chatted as they waited for the arrival of the two young ladies. The light from outside the window shone on the white tablecloth on the table, making it difficult to see clearly. In the Italian restaurant at noon on a Saturday, they seemed to be standing in a sea of light. It was like a scene from a movie. About 20 minutes later. Ling. Mrs. Kiyono waved at the door. Toru Watanabe looked over. Rin Kiyono was coming over. As always, she was dressed in a fresh and fashionable outfit. She was carrying a cloth bag embroidered with dolphins, and her long black hair was flowing elegantly. Little Ling, what do you want to eat? Mrs. Kujo asked her. I ate at home, thank you. Rin Kiyono sat in the chair that Toru Watanabe pulled out. Her beautiful and fair little face was dazzling under the sunlight. Speaking of which, Kun Watanabe, how did you become friends with Little Ling? Mrs. Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe curiously. Naturally, nothing special happened. We became friends when we came back to our senses. Toru Watanabe said. Can you tell me how you met? Mrs. Kiyono held her chin with one hand. She looked like an older sister who was only a few years older than her daughter. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. The first time I saw you was in the Human Observation Department. Is that so? Rin Kiyono thanked the waitress who brought the water. You don't remember? Women. I was writing a contribution to the literature department. Yes, you didn't even raise your head. Toru Watanabe shook the straw. The ice cubes in the lemonade hit the glass, making a crisp sound. In your eyes, what kind of child is Ling? Mrs. Kiyono asked. She's a beautiful girl in the literature department with a book. She's a beautiful girl walking on the road. In short, she's a beautiful girl, a perfect existence. Oh, except for the fact that she often scolds people. You're the only one who was scolded, right? Mrs. Kiyono smiled. No. Toru Watanabe also smiled and replied. Miki is occasionally scolded, but she scolds back and I don't care. You really don't care? Rin Kiyono looked at him with a smile. The atmosphere of the conversation was comfortable, and they seemed very natural. The two ladies were once again amazed by Toru Watanabe. As a farmer's son, he didn't show any fear or flattery toward people like them, who were high up in the hierarchy. They seemed to be on equal footing. My dream is to make the world bow before me. Why should I care about a woman like you? Toru Watanabe answered Rin Kiyono's question. You're very ambitious. Mrs. Kujo joked. So, dating my Miki is a step toward making the world bow before you? That's not making the world bow before me. It's Miki who's making me bow before her. Toru Watanabe said angrily. The two ladies laughed heartily, and their laughter echoed in the sunshine. Toru Watanabe continued. Mom, you should take care of her. By the way, Kiyono's mom, you too. You don't know how scary Kiyono's eyes are. I have no rights in the club. I do whatever they tell me to do. I know Miki's like that, but is Little Rin the same? Mrs. Kujo was curious. You've been deceived. Kiyono's eyes turned cold. Not to mention that she's crueler than Miki, but she can definitely freeze one or two people to death. She's also an extremely self-centered person. Really? It was the first time that Mrs. Kiyono heard her daughter being evaluated like this. My greatest virtue is honesty. Toru Watanabe affirmed. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono's cold eyes shot over. I'll give you a chance to tell the truth. Did you see that? Toru Watanabe said to the two ladies. That's the look in her eyes. Isn't it scary? I'm being ordered around, and she's always telling me to change my words. The two ladies once again laughed in a clear and cheerful voice. Rin Kiyono glared at Toru Watanabe, but also felt that it was funny. What's the matter? Why are you so happy? Miki Kujo walked over with her arms crossed. Miki. Toru Watanabe turned around with a smile. She's talking bad about you and Kiyono-san and exposing you to Mom. Miki Kujo glared at him, then looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono was focused on drinking water. Let's go, aren't we going to buy something? Miki Kujo said. Yep, we've been sitting for a while, so it's time for some exercise. Mrs. Kujo stretched and got up. Toru Watanabe, who made the world bow, was responsible for paying the bill. The five of them took Miki Kujo's car to the mall. When they entered the mall, Mrs. Kujo held her daughter's arm intimately. No one would believe that they weren't sisters. On the other side, Mrs. Kiyono also held her daughter's arm. Miki, you and Rin hold hands. We're going to amaze everyone. Mrs. Kujo said excitedly. Let's go. Miki Kujo walked forward with her mother. Really, slow down a bit. Toru Watanabe walked to Mrs. Kiyono's side. See, I told you that it's useless to interfere too much. You're involved? Rin Kiyono asked coldly. Semi-involved. Toru Watanabe replied. Semi-involved? Toru Watanabe wouldn't force someone to do something. For example, if there was a road, he would flatten the road he wanted others to take, and then plant beautiful roses on both sides, and let the people walking on it choose the road themselves. After listening to Toru Watanabe's words, Mrs. Kiyono nodded approvingly. Kun Watanabe has the ability to control people. The future heir of the Kujo family and Kiyono family, he said. The man who makes the world bow. Mrs. Kiyono said with a smile. The handsome Tokyo man who can get any woman with a snap of his fingers. Toru Watanabe said again. What did you say? Rin Kiyono asked. Nothing. Ha ha ha, Rin is really fierce. Mrs. Kiyono was so happy that she leaned on her daughter's shoulder. While talking, the three of them caught up with the Kujo mother and daughter. What Toru Watanabe just said was a bit similar to Rin Kiyono's, give choices, but don't interfere with their choices. But in fact, there was a fundamental difference. Building roads and planting flowers didn't seem to be forced, but he still twisted people's will and made them take the road he wanted them to take. But it was also different from Miki Kujo's coercion. Even if the other party didn't take the road with roses in the end, Toru Watanabe wouldn't force them to take it. The five of them first bought camping equipment. Dear customer, how big of a tent do you need? The shop assistant asked. 1 tent for 4 people, 1 for 1 person, all of the best. Mrs. Kiyono said. I'm not sleeping with you. Miki Kujo said lightly. It's rare that we have the same opinion. Rin Kiyono looked at the various camping equipment in the shop, and his eyes stopped on the folding chair. I haven't slept with Miki in a long time. This time, we have to sleep together. It's a rare family trip. Mrs. Kujo said firmly. It's a commemorative trip for me and Watanabe. Miki Kujo corrected. Miki. Kujo covered her mouth in surprise. Do you want to sleep in the same tent with Kun Watanabe in front of your mother? Can't I? No, you're still too young. Mrs. Kujo looked at her daughter with the expression of a young mother educating her children. Who was the one who used contraceptives as Christmas gifts? Mrs. Kujo. Who was the one who watched Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo kiss? It was still Mrs. Kujo. I also want to sleep with Ling, Mrs. Kiyono said. She didn't look at Rin Kiyono. Instead, her eyes fell on Toru Watanabe. Oh. Toru Watanabe said. The two mothers sleep in the middle, and Miki and Kiyono sleep on both sides. Is that okay? By the way, Kiyono-san, you answer first. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe as if he could see through him. Then she nodded without lying. Toru Watanabe turned to Miki Kujo. She agreed. Miki, you should also accompany your mother. Miki Kujo sneered and didn't object. The two wives looked at Toru Watanabe with satisfaction. Toru Watanabe responded with a look that said, You're too kind. If it weren't for your unreasonable request, we wouldn't have agreed. He didn't know if the two of them understood, but the two young ladies did. They each gave Toru Watanabe a look that said, I'll deal with you later. The five of them didn't know how to camp, and they didn't know what brand of equipment was good, but they had money. They asked the shop assistant to help them choose and make requests. Then they asked the shop to help them supplement according to the season and the camping environment. These things would be sent to Kiyono's palace. After that, they went to buy swimsuits. In order to prove himself, Toru Watanabe didn't go in. He was also worried that he wouldn't be able to control his gaze. It would be a lie to say that he didn't want to see the two wives' swimsuits. However, Toru Watanabe thought that it was better not to see them. He didn't pursue excitement. But on the day of camping, he would definitely see them. Under the various gazes of the women in the swimsuit shop, Toru Watanabe imagined the scene of Miki Kujo mocking Rin Kiyono's flat chest, and Rin Kiyono mocking Miki Kujo's legs. He would definitely be forced to ask who looked better. Maybe the two wives would also ask. Toru Watanabe restrained himself from imagining that scene. However, did Kiyono's wife have a little extra fat on her stomach? He could pay attention to this. Chapter 272. After buying the swimsuits, the two ladies didn't end their date. They took their daughter and son-in-law to buy clothes and accessories, and didn't go back until dinner was over. This was a rare opportunity. Before this, no matter how many times they tried to invite Seigo-rin, and Kujio Mika would never agree to come out as long as one of them was present. The ladies could only rely on the festival to let the two of them get along for a short time. Miki Kujo's car drove Rin Kiyono back to the Shirku apartment first, followed by the two ladies. Kun Watanabe, let's continue our date another day, the lady waved to the man. Goodbye. The car window rolled up, and Toru Watanabe let out a long breath. Even the Tokyo handsome guy had to be careful in this high-intensity Azura arena. Are we going home? He asked Miki Kujo, who was sitting opposite him. To the company there's work. Miki Kujo put her elbow on the car door handle and supported her tired cheeks. Toru Watanabe looked at her delicate and beautiful face. She was only 16 years old and was still a young girl. I'll go with you, he said. You're going? Miki Kujo opened her eyes and looked at him questioningly. Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. He got up and sat down. He reached out and pulled Miki Kujo into his arms and let her lean on his chest. His face was pressed against her long hair, and his body gently and tightly wrapped around her graceful body. Miki, he whispered. Yes. Miki Kujo closed her eyes in his arms. I love you. Yes. Toru Watanabe gently pinched her chin, and his lips fell on her affectionate and small lips. This was a warm kiss, reminiscent of last year's autumn in Kyoto's Izakuwa. The two of them didn't do anything and just hugged each other. They sat in a corner of the dim car, and the rapidly receding neon lights outside the window turned into a sea of colors. Rin Kiyono put on her school uniform and tied a bow. According to the agreement, he had to go to the school today to guide the wind instrument department. Kanagawa High School was still noisy on Sunday. The running track, the soccer field, the baseball field, the tennis court, the sports department members' shouts, the coach's merciless reprimand. Everyone was sweating profusely. The metal bat hit the baseball, accompanied by a crisp sound that echoed through the clear sky. One could already feel the breath of summer. However, she still had to go through the plum rain, so she was in a slightly bad mood. Speaking of Mayu, before that, there was still the family camping at the end of May. Her mood became slightly better. Going camping with his mother, Aunt Kujo and Miki. He never thought that he would agree to such a thing. She didn't hate Miki Kujo, she just didn't like her. When they were young, they had promised each other that they would not lie. However, the anger from the other party's betrayal in less than 3 months had long been thrown into the summer when they were 4, along with the words marrying the same person in the future. The two of them experienced various things together. In the end, Miki Kujo became the president of the company, and she became a literary girl who spent all her time reading books. From elementary school to middle school, the two of them didn't have a single friend, nor did they interact with each other. At the time, they thought that they would continue living like this in high school, and even in university for the rest of their lives. Until that spring day in April, in order to deal with the school rules, she submitted an essay to the literature department, and Toru Watanabe walked in. Although she posted a recruitment flyer, she didn't intend to accept anyone. Lying was forbidden during the entrance test, and it was impossible for anyone to do so. Toru Watanabe couldn't do it either, but he actually didn't like her. If it was before, she wouldn't have cared. However, when she thought about the existence of the human observation department, if she didn't observe humans, she would go against her promise to the school that she would do her best. Then she would stay. When he fell hopelessly in love with her, she would fire him. She originally thought that her observation of Toru Watanabe would be over soon, but who knew that so many things would happen afterwards? He didn't care that Yoshimi Tamama was laughing at him behind his back. He admitted that he was an excellent individual, but that was all. Not long after, he actually started dating Miki Kujo. Although the confession was fake, and their love was fake, the two of them really did date and do what lovers should do. Miki Kujo, who even the maids weren't allowed to touch her, allowed Toru Watanabe to kiss her and put on her shoes for her. The two of them frequently had physical contact. On the other hand, after he started dating Miki Kujo, she discovered that Toru Watanabe suddenly started studying hard. This man quickly learned many languages, read many books, and even became witty and humorous, although his mouth was still full of lies. One day, when she was teaching the music department, Shitani was standing on the platform when he returned to his apartment late at night. He was talking nonsense, but he sincerely approved of his own way of life. It's fine if you only tell the truth. Many people had said this to her before, but he was the only one who truly believed that it was fine. After that day, she treated him as a friend in her heart. Once Toru Watanabe was no longer isolated from the world, his strong charm swept through everything like a hurricane. He had a handsome and delicate face, and he only smiled at her and Miki Kujo. Even if she didn't care about her appearance, it was inevitable that she would be moved once in a while when they were together all day long. His grades were getting better and better, and even she had to start working hard in her spare time. Her national ranking kept rising. Even so, he was still the national #1 in the end. He was witty and humorous, and there was always a mystery in his heart. He started to exercise. She would occasionally see him jogging in the streets of Shitani in the morning, and now his physical strength was unimaginable. He always had a way to deal with Miki Kujo's various requests, and even guided Miki Kujo to follow his ideas. He became more and more outstanding, but he still maintained the same attitude. He treated people gently, never flaunted everything about himself, and didn't care about other people's good or bad opinions. When she came back to her senses, she had already experienced things that she wouldn't have thought of in her junior high school. Music, sleeping together, cultural festivals, Christmas, Chinese New Year in the countryside. Compared to the past, she hadn't changed at all. She still hated lying, refused to lie, and didn't care about outsiders. The only difference was that she had the happiness that she wanted to fight for. But her current life wasn't bad, and she didn't care about Toru Watanabe's health. After all, Kiyono-senpai, a freshman named Masanori Horikita, interrupted her thoughts. Wasn't she thinking about Miki Kujo and her change just now? Why did it become that guy halfway through? Rin Kiyono put down her book and looked at the girls from the music club surrounding her. Unknowingly, it was already break time. What's the matter? She looked at the leading girl in front of her, who was petite. It seemed that she came to Kamigawa because of Toru Watanabe. She even joined the music club and chose the oboe as an instrument. Kiyono-senpai, I want to ask, what do you usually use to protect your hair? Your hair is so beautiful. Masanori Horikita looked at her with worship and admiration. I also want to know. Aoi Ichiki looked enviously at the long black hair that was like lead powder. Normal shampoo and hair care. Rin Kiyono responded coldly, her voice as pleasant as a music box. Then senpai is a natural beauty? That's great. Masanori Horikita said. The other girls spoke one after another, praising Rin Kiyono's every part. Rin Kiyono didn't answer and listened indifferently. Senpai, which beauty shop do you usually go to? I want to go to the same beauty shop as you to get a haircut and skincare. Me too. What do you want? Rin Kiyono asked them coldly. Most of the girls were timid, and their white indoor shoes moved slightly, ready to disperse. Nothing, I'm just curious about senpai. Masanori Horikita had no intention of leaving. She raised her small face in her bob. Senpai, as a young lady, how much living expenses do you get per month? Rin Kiyono looked back at the book. Senpai, what else do you like besides reading? Senpai, what do you plan to do in the future? Besides inheriting the family business, do you have personal dreams? How do you maintain your figure? How can I be like senpai and never get acne? The girls in the music department looked at Masanori Horikita with admiration. She had such a strong will in her petite body. Rin Kiyono looked away from the book again, and looked at Masanori Horikita. This time, it was no longer as cold as before, but with a hint of coldness. Her cherry pink lips opened slightly, and she was about to say something that would make Masanori Horikita stay away from her. At this moment, Toru Watanabe's voice sounded. Kiyono-san is actually chatting. It's rare. My Asahi walked into the music room with Toru Watanabe. My senpai. Aoi Ichiki ran over in surprise. Yeah. My Asahi nodded at her. Except for the members who were originally around Rin Kiyono, they all took the opportunity to gather around their senpai. My Asahi was cold and didn't take the initiative to talk, but compared to the cold and ruthless Rin Kiyono, she was considered amiable. Occasionally, she would agree to Asako Hanada's and other girls' invitations to go out and play. Toru Watanabe walked to Rin Kiyono's side. "What are you talking about?" "Watanabe-senpai, I'm asking senpai some personal questions." Masanori Horikita rushed to answer. "Personal questions?" Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, who had returned to her book. "Yeah, about how to take care of hair. I want to know that too." Toru Watanabe said. "From the first day we met, I felt that Kiyono-san's hair was prettier than the average person's." "Kiyono-san, how do you take care of your hair? Do you think I need special treatment?" Rin Kiyono said without raising her head. "Wash hair with your fingertips. Don't use your nails. After washing, dry your hair by pressing it. Depending on the quality of your hair, whether you need essential oil or how to dry your hair, you can ask the beautician yourself. That's it? That's equivalent to not saying anything." Toru Watanabe was dissatisfied. "Senpai, Watanabe-senpai." Masanori Horikita pinched Toru Watanabe's sleeve with her thumb and index finger. "I also asked Kiyono-senpai about her dream." "So, I don't know what your dream is. What do you plan to do in the future?" Toru Watanabe asked Rin Kiyono. "Make everyone in the world stop lying. Don't talk about that. Be practical." "That's my dream," Rin Kiyono said. "In addition to not letting people lie, there must be something else, right?" "There should be one." Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin. "Let me think about it." Masanori Horikita's eyes moved back and forth between Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe. She pulled Toru Watanabe's sleeve and whispered, "Watanabe-senpai, does senpai like you?" Rin Kiyono slowly raised her head and stared at Masanori Horikita. "Ah." Masanori Horikita knocked her small head and laughed. "Someone heard me." Her curly hair swayed, and her round face was very cute. Unfortunately, Rin Kiyono didn't care about appearances. Even the handsome men in Tokyo were scolded by her every day. Her eyes became extremely sharp, as if she was about to shoot out dangerous objects such as icicles. Masanori Horikita, who was fearless just now, was so scared that she hid behind Toru Watanabe. "I'm not talking nonsense," she said as if she had been wronged. "Just now, when everyone was talking to senpai, you didn't answer any of them. When Watanabe-senpai came, he asked us about hair care methods, dreams, and information that we didn't get for a long time." Rin Kiyono's cold aura was getting heavier and heavier. At this rate, Masanori Horikita would have a very miserable year in the Wind Club. "Don't talk nonsense." Toru Watanabe pulled his sleeve from her hand. "Kiyono-san and I are just good friends who talk about everything, that's all." "But I really feel that senpai likes," I said on Friday, the details of the ending part of the voice. "Have you finished practicing?" Toru Watanabe asked. I know. I'll go practice now." Masanori Horikita walked away muttering, "I'm not wrong." Toru Watanabe watched her pick up the oboe and play the second movement against the score before looking away. "She's just a child, don't mind it." "I know." Rin Kiyono's tone was cold. My Asahi came over with Aoi Ichiki. "Senpai Asaka." Rin Kiyono greeted her politely. My Asahi nodded and softly returned the greeting. "Rin." Aoi Ichiki's eyes widened. "Senpai and Kiyono-san have such a good relationship?" "Not good." My Asahi answered lightly. Then, Aoi Ichiki was puzzled, but no one answered her. Aoi Ichiki had to change the topic and asked Toru Watanabe, who seemed to be the easiest to talk to. "Kun Watanabe, did you meet Mai-sen outside? We agreed to come together." Toru Watanabe told the truth. Your relationship is so good?" "Yeah." My Asahi nodded happily. "Senpai Asaka is learning the oboe from me," Toru Watanabe said. "Yesterday, I went to Tokyo University to listen to her concert." "Senpai's concert?" "Kun Watanabe, why didn't you invite me? I want to go too," Aoi Ichiki said. "I went with my young mothers. How could I bring you?" Toru Watanabe glanced at her. "Young mothers?" Toru Watanabe pointed at Rin Kiyono. "Her mother and Miki's mother." Aoi Ichiki covered her mouth tightly and showed a shocked expression. Could it be that Kiyono classmates' parents and Kujo classmates' parents have agreed to the three of you being together? That's unbelievable. Itsuki classmate, have you finished the smooth playing practice I just taught you? Rin Kiyono's voice was cold and clear. It was as if the music room was about to turn into the moon. Oh, yes. After Aoi Ichiki left, Mayasahi stared at Rin Kiyono with her clear eyes. Did you win? If you win, I'll tell you to leave. Rin Kiyono said coldly. Mayasahi nodded. I hope you don't win. What are you guys talking about? Toru Watanabe asked. Rin Kiyono closed her book and stood up. Her pleated skirt swayed, revealing her legs that were even more charming. Senpai Asahi, you're here to coach the bass team, right? Please don't waste your time. And you. She turned her gaze to Toru Watanabe. Next time the ensemble woodwind team doesn't make any progress, just wait for the camping trip. I'll make sure to embarrass you. Director Kiyono, I'm reporting Rosen-san for revenge. This is called abuse of power. You don't care? I only care about you. Is Horikita-san telling the truth? Do you really like me? Although you're very good-looking and your legs are my favorite type, we're really just close friends. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe and smiled at him. I'm looking forward to the camping trip at the end of the month. I'm sorry I was wrong. Toru Watanabe didn't take Rin Kiyono's words to heart. She could see through lies. If she wanted to embarrass Toru Watanabe, she didn't have to wait for the family camping trip. She probably said that because she was looking forward to this trip in her heart. It was great. Whether it was Miki Kujo or Rin Kiyono, they were no longer alone. The one who changed them was Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe, you're amazing. As long as you want to do it, you can really do it. Toru Watanabe praised himself in his heart, hoping that he could continue to work hard. You have a new email. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.